Food Security Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2017. The County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2017, mainly seeks to define the boundaries of the counties of Kenya, provide for the resolution of county boundaries through the establishment of a County Boundaries Mediation Committee, and give effect to Article 188 of the Constitution on the alteration of county boundaries. The author of this particular bill is Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Senator Makueni County, who argues that the Constitution of Kenya neither sets out the boundaries of the counties nor does it cross-refer the boundaries to any other law. It is, however, a matter of notoriety that the counties of Kenya and their boundaries are the districts of Kenya, and their boundaries respectively are set out in the Districts and Provinces Act of 1992, Cap 105. The bill therefore seeks to clearly define the boundaries of the counties of Kenya by bringing into its first schedule the boundaries of Nairobi area and the other 46 districts of Kenya. If you're just joining us, these are live pictures from the Senate chambers where business is about to begin. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. This broadcast is also available on YouTube. There is the Senate Speaker, Kenneth Lusaka.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just and faithful a manner
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of visiting members and staff from the County Assembly of Trans Nzoia. I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. They are Honorable Martin Simiyu, Chairperson Committee on Delegated Legislation, Honorable Margaret Mutai, Member, Honorable Alfred Weswa, Member, Honorable Patrick Kisiero, Member, Honorable Evelyn K. Chenia, Member, Honorable Elkana Mamsari, Member, Honorable Philip Simiyu, Member, Honorable Wambwa Bernard, Member, Honorable Jeremiah Wahuria, Member, Honorable Mercy Tanui, Member, Ms. Joan Ngetich, Public Relations, Ms. Kibonei Lucy, Legal Counsel, Mr. Utin Nakitare, Senior Research Officer, Mr. Mohammed Ismail, Committee Clerk, Mr. Leonard Wambalaba, Hansard, and Mr. Nicholas Nandasaba, Sergeant at Arms. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Honorable Senators, I would also like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of visiting members of staff from the County Assembly of Busia. I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. They are Honorable Patrick Obogonya, Chairperson Committee on Delegated Legislation, Honorable Kasamon Elsere, Member, Honorable Ruth Achola, member. Honorable Hakla Ismail, member. Honorable Eric Kaibe, member. Miss Eileen Aswan Hansard, Mr. Wilberforce Obola, Sergeant at Arms, and Ms. Stella Odanga, Committee Clerk. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator Mbito Michael, Senator Trans Nzoia.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome my colleagues from Trans Nzoia. First and foremost, let me congratulate you all for the great job you're doing in Trans Nzoia in matters of oversight. As you know very well, what you do complements our work here. Our work in the Senate. Our work in the Senate will not be complete without an input from yourselves. So I want to say that I'm happy with what is going on in the county, and I hope that we'll continue working together to ensure that our people get proper service delivery. So mine is to welcome you to Nairobi. This is our Senate. And feel free and know that we are partners in whatever we do. Karibuni. So thank you.
Senator Kilozo Mutula Jr.
Speaker, if you allow me, in the absence of Senator Amos Swisila Wako, allow me to, on his behalf, welcome the County Assembly of Busia and the County Assembly of Trans Nzoia. The County of Busia set a precedent which we hope will be followed in terms of accountability. But for purposes of the Senate, we welcome you here. Your senator is busy representing us out of the country and other matters of the nation. And Mr. Speaker, while he was away, we have busy been debating, and you see it in the order paper, the Public Participation Bill framework drafted by the Senator of Busia. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Langat Christopher.
For allowing me to join you and my colleagues in welcoming the members of County Assembly and staff from Trans Nzoia and Busia. I want to say that these members are very important to us, especially when it comes to things to do with oversight. We would like to encourage members of county assemblies in this country to take seriously oversight matters so that they help us a lot. We sometimes get very much surprised as senators when we attend functions only to find our members of county assemblies that their work is only to praise the governors, only to do what, on grounds that are not well-founded. And we would like to see more of them when we get into the ground, to see them highlighting on oversight issues, mentioning that this road was constructed, but we are not happy with it. So, Bwana Senator, let us work together to make sure that things goes the right way. So I would like to encourage them, welcome them, and say we shall work together, especially on the oversight. You'll be seen to be, you'll be known to be functioning well when you are able to highlight on some areas where the executive in counties are not doing well. And I'm not saying that we go wholesale to be condemning our executives in the counties, but more importantly is when you are seen doing the oversight in the counties. Welcome to the Senate. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sakaja.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm honored and pleased to officially welcome the delegation to Nairobi County as the Senator for Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, I was born and raised in Nairobi, but I come from Trans Nzoia County. And the ladies and gentlemen here from Trans Nzoia, the honorable members, many of them are well known to me. At some point, there was a rumor that I was vying there, but I was not vying in Trans Nzoia. But if I ever change my mind, I'm sure we will be able to work together. But having said that, I want to welcome them together with the members from Busia County. Mr. Speaker, we have a great responsibility, especially leaders from Western region. If you look at the economic survey of 2018, a copy which I've just received, and I'd urge all senators to get a copy at the table office. Mr. Speaker, agriculture contributes to 31.5% of our GDP. It has dropped from 32% last year. A lot of the challenges and the eye of the storm of the issues we're dealing with today are in the counties of Western. When you talk about maize farming, Trans Nzoia is a breadbasket of this country. When you talk about sugar, when you talk about the challenges we're going through in Busia, Kakamega, Vihiga, Trans Nzoia. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the members of County Assembly. They are the first point of call for oversight and for defense of the economic future and potential of our people, to be vigilant, to ask correct questions, to make sure that the budget prioritization in the counties is targeted at the right things that will help our people. Mr. Speaker, as we address this challenge of the economic well-being of both Trans Nzoia County, Busia County, and the entire Western region, we pledge our support as a Senate, and I hope they have a good stay. I wish I knew earlier they were coming. I would show them Nairobi properly, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Ephraim Maina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to welcome the counties of Trans Nzoia and Busia and to tell them that we in the Senate, we look forward to counties doing their constitutional duty. And I want to say the responsibility of counties is actually a heavy one. And as one speaker said, the issue of oversight is an issue that the county assembly, the executive, should actually, or the county assembly should be taking more seriously than is happening in the country. And I appeal to them that they are in these positions, which are positions of trial. They are positions of trial because under no circumstances should money be being put into some luxurious projects when there are essential things like provision of drugs in hospitals are not available. Essential services like education to our children should not be available. It is upon them, it is their responsibility to see that money being put into roads is not being put for the purpose of actually ending up not doing the real roads, but ending up somewhere else. When the road is said is a 5-kilometer road, it should be a 5-kilometer road. And when it said is Malam, it should be Malam well compacted to the standard. And these are the responsibilities that I think the county assemblies should be actually always reminding themselves. The Senate would wish to help and to assist and to support counties in giving services. But we are not going to help and support in squandering resources. And when it comes to that, we hear that we are called this and this. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, our law is actually to actually commend and also reprimand when need be. And I want to say, let the devolution work. It will work when the county assemblies actually recognize their prime role of actually oversighting, and they should be working hand in hand with the Senate. And as one senator said, they should be bringing up these things.
Projects that they are supposed to be getting. Mr. Speaker, sir, currently we have this issue of conditional grants, and we see a lot of counties running around declaring that they are municipalities so that they can access this money. If you do so without involving the citizens for them to understand the benefit of it, then of course you'll face a lot of rebellion and resistance from the citizens. So I welcome you, and I encourage you to really invest in legislation to try and build these counties, because when we're here, we defend devolution, and that is the sole duty that we are here as a county, as senators. So I really would like to encourage you and welcome you once again to the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Nderitu.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Nataka kujumuika na Spika pamoja na wenzangu kuwakaribisha wageni kutoka Busia na wageni kutoka Trans Nzoia. Mimi kwanza kabisa nataka kusema nashukuru kwa sababu nimetembea Trans Nzoia na niliona ni watu wakarimu kabisa. Nikatembea Busia nikaona ni watu wakarimu kabisa, wakanikaribisha, na nachukua fursa hii hata mimi kuwakaribisha hapa na kuambia kwamba sisi kama Senate tumejitolea kutetea ugatuzi. Mimi kama mwenyekiti wa ugatuzi nataka kuambia kwamba ugatuzi uko katika nyoyo zetu, na kikatiba ni haki yetu kuitetea ugatuzi, na ni mpaka tufanye hiyo kazi. Na tutaweza kufanya tukiwa tunashirikiana nanyi, kwa sababu katika mashinani, pale mashinani nyinyi ndio mna uwezo na mmepewa jukumu na serikali kufanya ile kazi. Kwa hivyo nataka kuhakikishia kwamba hapa sisi tutafanya ile kazi na nyinyi mkiwa upande huo mfanye hiyo kazi. Alafu jambo lingine ambalo nimelisikia siku ya leo ni ya kwamba Mheshimiwa Sakaja alikuwa amesema ya kwamba atasimama Trans Nzoia, lakini hayo ni maombi ambayo hayangefika mahali, kwa sababu najua angeshindwa na ndugu yangu Mbito, kwa sababu Mbito amekuwa akinialika huko na sasa na sasa najua kwamba na amesema ya kwamba anaweza kabadilisha nia yake na kutembea huko na kusimama kiti kile ambacho tamwambia asimame, pengine si cha senator, pengine cha governor, kwa sababu governor atakuwa amefika awamu yake ya mwisho. Asante sana.
Senator Moses Wetangula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for an opportunity to join you and the House in welcoming the two delegations from Trans Nzoia and Busia. These are counties that are very close to my heart and physically close to me. I want to welcome the visiting MCAs and the accompanying staff, and encourage that we continue networking, benchmarking, and working together as the house that protects and guards devolution and the primary units of devolution, which are the counties. For those of you who are up in the gallery, namukaribisha, and I want to encourage you to learn as much as you possibly can so that you go back and make our counties shining examples of not only accountability but development and positive change to our people, so that the fruits of devolution are felt to the lowest level of society, right in the villages. I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to have a personal meeting with you, but while you are in the Senate, feel at home and sit there and hear these vibrant senators make contributions to various issues. And when you meet committees, try and pry in as much as you can so that you get the good practices from here back to your counties. The Senate will continue without any tiring in building capacity in each and every county to ensure that every single cent we allocate here that comes to you meets the purpose for which it is allocated. Welcome once again.
Senator Zawadi.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa hii nafasi ili niweze kuwakaribisha wenzangu ama waheshimiwa wa Busia na Trans Nzoia. Nimesimama kama mmoja wao, manake kuna wakati kabla sijawa senator nilikuwa county assembly. Kwa hivyo najua ni nini mnapitia kule, najua zile changamoto zenye mnapitia pia. Lakini vile vile Senate tegemeo lake ni county assemblies, na hasa upande wa sheria na uwakilishaji. Wahenga walisema dunia ni mduara. Hivyo sheria mnazozitunga zisiwe tu za kuwapendeza nyinyi peke yenu ama nyinyi wenyewe kibinafsi, bali ziwe za kupendeza mpaka wale wananchi ambao mnawakilisha, na pia vile vile uwakilishaji wenu. Naamini yule mwananchi wa kawaida kabisa, yule wa chini kabisa, ataangaliwa kupitia nyinyi, maanake nyinyi ndio mko karibu na ule mgonjwa na kila siku nyinyi ndio mnaamka naye. Naamini sisi tunamjua mgonjwa, lakini nyinyi mnamjua zaidi, maanake nyinyi ndio mko naye, na tunawategemea sana. Na nimetangulia kusema kwamba ni mmoja wenu. Siku nyingine nilikuja Busia nikiwa mwanachama wa Kaduasile wakati huo, na nilikuwa naandikisha members, na nashukuru, maanake ukiniangalia bila kukuambia mimi natoka wapi utasema mimi ni mmoja wenu. Kwa hivyo nashukuru, nilipata nini nzuri, nilipata members kule ambao ilikuwa shida kupata, lakini mimi ndipo tumopande. Nilisema nitumeni kwanza. Kasema nikiwaangalia walivyo na pia mkizungumza pia mwe makini, maanake mawili matatu mnayozungumza wapwani watu wasikia mwasema nini. Nashukuru, karibuni sana.
Senator Uta Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join you with, together with our colleagues in welcoming the County Assembly of Busia and Trans Nzoia. Mr. Speaker, I want to identify myself with these two counties, especially the Busia County, where I know in the previously they have given a lot of support for Baba. And today I just want to welcome them here to be able to learn from us. Mr. Speaker, one thing that I would request your office of the Senate is if you'll be able to extend of how we can build, the capacity building of all these county assemblies. Because what I've seen is lacking, that they need to be guided of how they can do oversight in their various departmental committees in the counties. Because what we have seen down in Kisumu, and I'm planning to have the Senate in conjunction with the county of Kisumu, to have gone through training so that when they invite the public, or if they're investigating any matters within Kisumu counties, then they should be able to know their role. Lack of it, Mr. Speaker, sometimes may not allow them to be able to accomplish their roles as county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure these two county assemblies that I, Senator Fred Outa, will support the Ward Development Fund, because this is one way that I truly believe that the devolution will be felt in the villages. What I've seen now, that without Ward Development Fund, most of the projects are taken by the executive in the counties. And a number of MCAs who are representing their wards, many at times would not even be able to know if there is any projects in their ward. And I think with the passing of the Ward Development Fund, they can be proud to be able to identify with those projects and be able to affirm and even stamp out the corruption that might arise. And I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mogeni Congo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also want to join my colleagues in welcoming the members of the County Assembly from the counties of Busia and Trans Nzoia. Mr. Speaker, the county assemblies under our constitution play a very important role in ensuring that there is accountability, and it's good to have our colleagues from the two county assemblies on this day when we are celebrating the African Day against corruption. Mr. Speaker, I want to motivate our members of the county assembly to ensure that they play their role in ensuring that the resources that we as senators send to our counties are used to transform the lives of our people and not to end into the pockets of a few people. Mr. Speaker, the constitution that we passed in 2010 gives a lot of powers to our members of the county assembly, including powers to summon witnesses and also to ensure under Article 196 that there is full public participation in our county. So I want to really encourage our colleagues, members of the County Assembly, that they have the powers that they need under the Kenyan Constitution, and they should go back motivated that they can work to ensure that there is accountability and good governance in the counties of Busia and Trans Nzoia. Karibuni, and we welcome you any other time in future as we look forward to fruitful engagement between the Senate and members of the county assemblies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boy Isajuma.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi pia naungana na maseneta wenzangu kuwakaribisha delegation hii ya Busia na Trans Nzoia. Kama mnavyojua, kama sisi maseneta tuko hapa kwa ajili yenu nyinyi, kuwatumikia hasa wananchi. Na pia ni uzuri pia muje mtuone hapa vile tunavyoendesha seneti yetu hapa kikao chetu. Na sisi kama mnavyojua, sisi ndio jicho la hizi county zetu sisi sote. Tutafanya kazi na nyinyi, tutakuwa na nyinyi pamoja tukihakikisha kwamba rasilimali za county zinaangaliwa vizuri. Kwa hivyo nakaribisha sana na Mungu ajalie muweze kukutana tena. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Lastly, Senator Wambua Enoch.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to join you and my colleagues to welcome the delegations from the county assemblies of Busia and Trans Nzoia. The Speaker, specifically to the County Assembly of Busia. I am partly a product of that county in some way. In 1995, when I was a student teacher at Mundika Boys, I used to frequent Busia town. Mr. Speaker, they're very lovely people, very welcoming. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell our colleagues from the county assemblies that we have been elected by people that we represent in the Senate and in the county assemblies to fight in the best interest of those people that have elected us, and especially in safeguarding resources that have been allocated to counties. The other day, Mr. Speaker, we all bore witness to some requests from the Council of Governors that they be exempted from prosecution while in office. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that is exactly why we have county assemblies and the Senate to safeguard the resources of our people and make sure that any person, including governors, who mismanage public resources are brought to account. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge our colleagues who are visiting with us today to undertake their roles, oversight roles, objectively, without fear, without favor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I join everyone in welcoming our visitors. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I appreciate all the contributions, but I also want to make a brief communication that I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting students and teachers from Matiku Secondary School, Makueni County. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator Kilonzo Jr.
Thank you, Speaker. No, it's Matiku. Matiku is in the Mali Mulala ward. They had their Form 4 students here yesterday. This is the Form 3 class. Their history, particularly. They're taking the subject of government seriously, and they have been doing this for a while in conjunction with my office. I welcome them to the Senate and wish them well, and I hope they're going to learn much and we can produce a good leader from that school. Thank you. I actually was very surprised yesterday to meet a student, one of the history students, the best is an A- student, and they are doing very well. Thank you, Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Leader of majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 11th July 2018, report of the Commission on Administrative Justice for the period June to December 2017. I thank you.
Next order.
Order number 6, notice of motion. Order number 7, statements.
Senator Malaki, Turkana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for letting me give this statement in the House today. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 46-2A, I rise to issue a statement on the cattle rustling and ongoing resultant police brutality in Isiolo County. Honorable Speaker, cattle rustling has, over the years, defied interventions from the local communities, civil society, and the state. The exercise has led to great suffering of the victims. Recently, the Turkana community living in Isiolo County are the latest victims of this vice. There was a raid and counter-raid between the Samburu and Turkana communities living in Isiolo County. As a result of the raids, police intervened with brutal force, killing 5 people, among them a child. The raids further claimed lives of 2 police officers and left 4 others wounded. Mr. Speaker, sir, this operation is very brutal, so brutal that it's left 5 people dead and so many schools closed at a time when kids are preparing for national exams. So schools that are in the Turkana section, all schools are closed. 3 secondary schools, 10 primary schools, the kids and the teachers have run away because of this brutality by the police. While this is going on, the same police are telling the Samburu to go in and mop out the Turkana who are undesirable occupants of some parts of Isiolo. So yesterday, an attack was mounted by Samburu warriors and 456 animals were driven away. And there was no response from the police because the police are concentrating on beating the Turkana. This kind of thing is not acceptable, Honorable Speaker. The response by police in any security breach is welcome. However, excessive use of force and discriminative response to insecurity is not advised. Honorable Speaker, the police responded to the raids with excessive force, using military tankers, and seemed to target only the Turkana community and their homesteads. Honorable Speaker, all the communities involved should have been punished equally. If you think that if you take the government to be a father whose children have fought or have disagreed, the father should kind of whip one child and also whip the other child in equal measure.
Order, Senator. Order, member. What are these movements you are making? Are you conducting a ritual or something? Order, member.
No, Honorable Speaker. The piece of paper fell, so I had to get it.
What's your point of order, Senator Kabaka?
Is it in order for
Senator for Turkana, Professor Ekal,
Senator Emmanuel, take your seat.
to go around talking like he's out of his mind. Actually, that behavior going around is concomitant to certain behavior in certain parts of Kenya. Yes? No, wait a minute. Going around, and he was doing like a witch doctor. That is unfair.
Senator Kilozo Mutula Jr., what's your point of order? What's your point of order? What's your point of order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo?
Mr. Speaker, you must make a ruling because the Senator of Turkana has taken pastoralism literally. He's walking all around the place and talking. At some point, I thought something was wrong, but you must rule him out of order.
Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sympathetic to the Senator of Turkana, whose paper fell, and naturally he's been a professor, so he walked around talking. But Mr. Speaker, between the Senator from Machakos and the Senator of Turkana, who can speak about witchcraft, Mr. Speaker, in this, surely, in this house? How is the Senator from Machakos in order to impute anything close to witchcraft to Turkana, where we know there's no such vice occurrence?
Order members. What's your point of order, Senator Nderitu?
Mr. Speaker, it is in order for Senator from Machakos to talk about witchcraft because he's versed with it. And to
order member. Order member. You're out of order. Are you trying to imply that the Senator from Machakos practices witchcraft? Or Honorable Senator Malaki, I also thought you were performing a ritual in the House, but you may proceed with your statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as much as the members of the House have amused themselves with whatever happened, I'm a professor of physics by training, and I'm used to teaching while moving around the classroom. So this matter is not a jovial matter that the members should be laughing about. This is a serious matter because life is being lost here. So allow me to resume, Mr. Speaker. What I was saying is this kind of brutality has not been seen anywhere in this country, even with Al-Shabaab. I just do not understand why a local community should be hit with such brutal force. I'm told that the conductor of this kind of brutality is an OSPD out of Meru. And I'd like to remind such an OSPD that there are many Meru people. Meru people call us Mutani. They like being in Turkana. We are living with them peacefully. But when I tell Turkanas that the person leading this brutality, killing Turkana people, is actually from Meru, I don't know how happy they'll be. I think they'll look at Merus in a different light. So the operation has been mounted with 1 helicopter, 4 tanks fully armed and firing carelessly at everything they see, up to 30 military vehicles, scores of police, JSU, and AP. So you would think that the government of Kenya is under attack to cause the military to go with all this kind of arsenal. Mr. Speaker, sir, the search for sustainable peace among the pastoral communities who have for a long time engaged in armed cattle rustling has eluded practitioners and policymakers alike and still obtains as a major challenge to peace and security. There is need to devise techniques for constructively handling different and divergent communities so as to prevent disputes from erupting into violent crises. Further, there is also need to design appropriate institutions and structures that will find solutions to the existing conflict and accommodate all parties to conflict and a view to restoring lasting peace. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I get from the leaders, from Turkana leaders in Isiolo, is that some members of some political leaders in that particular county are the ones fueling this because of political gain. They want to see Turkanas out of Isiolo, and then they want to appeal to other communities who think that Turkana are the ones beating them up so they can get votes. I want to say that such a people who call themselves honorables should not really be honorable. They're despicable, in the sense that the word honorable is for somebody who pursues peace. I call upon the leadership of Samburu and Turkana to come together and find a solution to this problem. Cattle rustling is a counterproductive activity, the time of which has passed. So it's just sad that people are still losing life because of this cattle rustling thing between the Turkana and Samburu. They should be trading. Their relatives, they should be trading among themselves and exchanging, marrying each other and exchanging cattle and so on, and not fighting. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much for giving me the chance to air this very difficult topic in the House today. And I ask all members to support and probably look at ways to find solutions to this problem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wetangula Moses.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the distinguished senator for Turkana made a statement on this floor in relation to oil and insecurity in Turkana. Today he's brought yet another statement with even greater detail about insecurity, cattle rustling, and biased police behavior. Mr. Speaker, we don't want to take sides. We know that Turkanas who live in Samburu County, we know that Turkanas who live in Isiolo, where the distinguished Senator Fatuma comes from. In fact, there has been a Turkana member of parliament in Isiolo in the last parliament. And yesterday I was visited by an MC, a former MCA from Isiolo, from the Turkana community, who narrated to me some of the things that the distinguished senator is saying. But the issue, Mr. Speaker, is the lack of will on the part of the government to bring cattle rustling and inter-ethnic conflicts to an end. It is not just about Turkana in Isiolo, Samburu, and so on. There's serious friction between Turkana and Pokots on their border. There's serious friction between Pokots and other communities in Baringo and many other places. We can't blame the communities wholly, Mr. Speaker. The government has a duty to police these areas and ensure there is peace. And if it's indeed true, and I hope it isn't, that the police marshaled local communities to attack one community, that is a very dangerous direction to take, Mr. Speaker, because the police have a duty. And if you look at their logo, they are called Utumishi kwa wote. It's not Utumishi kwa wachache. If there is an issue, they must amicably and impartially arbitrate where necessary, arrest criminals where they are found, prosecute them where there is evidence, and bring these problems of insecurity to an end. Mr. Speaker, equally important, and this House should take cognizance of this, is that cattle rustling is no longer a cultural affair. In the past, Mr. Speaker, Morans used to go and raid to get cattle, to go and get wives. Cattle rustling has since become a commercial enterprise where people raid and steal cattle in the pastoralist areas, and within a day or two, they're in the slaughterhouses of Dagoretti, Mwiki, and everywhere else in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. So the police have to work tirelessly to bring peace between communities. Equally important, Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage the Senator for Turkana, the Senator for Isiolo, the Senator for Samburu, and the Senator for West Pokot to also come together and see how to engineer peace between the communities. Because if we just leave it to the communities and the state that evidently appears to be overwhelmed and unable to handle peace issues, then we are not going to get anywhere. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, that statement is so important that I encourage the chairman of the Security Committee, the distinguished senator for Garissa who is here, and members of the committee that include myself, to get seized of this matter and see how we can assist the counties affected as a Senate and bring even a report to this House to see how this House can help have a lasting peace between communities that live in various parts of the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you very much, Senator for Turkana. I know you have part of the community from Turkana living in Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, I brought a similar statement last week on the floor of this House. But I don't know what happened because if a matter is really very important and sensitive, you've given a direction where a particular committee is tasked to look into the matter. And I wish to confirm to Senator Malaki that this morning we discussed about the problems of cattle rustling, especially in Isiolo. And we have our neighbors, Mr. Speaker, who are really, always Isiolo has become a battleground for so many counties. You will find that, in fact, Chairman for Security was with us. He's the one who brought us together this morning. And we have a problem with Garissa, Wajir, Marsabit, Samburu, and Meru. And simply all these counties are looking for pasture and water during drought. And clearly when these things happen, and it's been happening even since we are young, Mr. Speaker, but unfortunately the way things are being handled, it's really in a casual manner. Because if an operation is carried out, especially in the case of Turkana and Samburu where a police officer was killed, it doesn't mean the whole community should.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I know a lot of us were concerned when my dear brother, Senator from Turkana, was walking around. Mr. Speaker, sir, there's nothing wrong with that. We are pastoralists. And sometimes when you want to stress a point, you go straight and you walk around and you use hands and you do everything. Mr. Speaker, sir, this issue of cattle rustling is not new in this country. I remember during the era of President Moi, there are leaders who were sent to jail. I think one of them was Lotodo because of supporting this issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, because of what is happening in this country, corruption, unemployment, you know, youth who are just roaming around. Cattle rustling, Mr. Speaker, sir, is an easy way to earn money. And I think we need to address this matter carefully and find lasting solutions. Because, like Senator Haji was talking about here, we will keep talking about it, and nothing will happen. This thing is affecting the Maasais in Samburu. It is affecting the Turkana. It is affecting the Maasais in Narok every single day. And the reason why there are so many people with guns. In fact, if you go back to the Kenya Police report of 2015, that report indicated that there were more than 500,000 guns, small ammunitions which were being illegally brought into the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think last year I witnessed the Deputy President when he oversaw the destruction of about 5,250 small arms and other ammunitions. Mr. Speaker, sir, if we cannot find lasting solutions to employment, youth unemployment, then even if I was the youth out there, trust me, I will be able to go out and just get a gun so that I can be able to make a living. So let us not kid ourselves. This issue of cattle rustling is brought about by unemployment. It is brought about by illiteracy in our counties, and we must address those issues. Mr. Speaker, sir, we need to talk about solutions. When I was growing up as a young Maasai boy, we all used to steal cows. It is not new. But we never used to steal cows from our neighbors. It was a way of showing that you have a lot of wealth. What is happening now, Mr. Speaker, sir, because everyone is seeking pasture, we have no water in our counties. If you go to Northeastern, if you go to Turkana, if you go to Samburu, there's no water. So, of course, for us to be able to feed our cows, we'll continue. We'll carry our guns, we'll protect our animals, and as we go, we'll get ideas. Mr. Speaker, sir, last year I brought a statement in this House. I was demanding answers as to why the Maasais in Laikipia were attacked by the police and their cows were killed. There was an issue of intertribal conflict. This was all in the same realm of cattle rustling. When we do not pay our police well, when we do not take care of their well-being, of course, they will be attracted to finding ways of also making money. Because at that time, the people on the ground were blaming the police. The senator from Turkana, in his statement, he said that the police were using military tankers, and they seem to have been only targeting maybe a particular community. What, Mr. Speaker, sir, we need to do, and this I hope that the security team will do, and also this government will take action to ensure that we find lasting solutions. They're very simple. Mr. Speaker, sir, if we say we are taking away all illegal guns which are acquired by people, let us not target one community. If it is in Narok, take them from the Maasais, take them from the Kalenjins, because you cannot take guns from one community and you leave the other one and you think people will live well. If it is in Turkana, take the guns from Turkana, take them from the Samburus, from the Laikipia Maasais. We all have guns. If you go to the border, all these boundaries, if you go to Baringo, you'll find young men carrying guns with their cows. And in the past, Mr. Speaker, sir, they would walk with their cows, they would go, they would look for water. So the other solution we must be talking about here, and I'm happy because earlier on today, I saw that there was a task force which was giving water to pastoralist communities. Let us make sure that we talk about that and we deliver. If we have water in our community, there's really no reason as to why our people should be encroaching into other territories in search for pasture, because the water is there. So these are problems. If we invest in education and we consider all our counties equally, if it is West Pokot, if it is Turkana, the reason why we're having all these problems is because there are this notion of sawa tutuko kwa serikali will be taken care of. The issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that the people of Turkana must consider themselves Kenyans as the people of Narok or Nairobi. We must be able to ensure that we get services to the people. If we do not, this will all be just a bunch of talk. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Senators, I think we are pressed for time. I know there's a lot of interest, but since the chair of the committee has assured us that the matter is already being handled, we want to leave it there so that we move to the next order.
Order number 8, the Public Participation Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2018, second reading division.
Okay, Honorable Senators, we shall now proceed to vote, and I direct that the division bell be rung for 5 minutes.
The division bell is currently ringing. The respective leadership in the House is mobilizing their members to come into the chambers so that the division can be conducted, the bill being voted.
I now direct that the doors be locked and that the bar be drawn. Honorable Senators, I now put the question, which is that the Public Participation Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2018, be read a second time. Confirm you are logged in, honorable members. You can start voting now. Yep. The manually assisted voters also. Senator Cherargei, come forward. Okay, honorable senators, order. Honorable senators, the results are as follows. The ayes 29, the nays 0, abstention 0. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide a general framework for effective public participation to give effect to the constitutional principles of democracy and participation of the people under Articles 1, 2, 10, 2, 35, 69, 1D, 118, 174C and D, 184, 1C, 196, 201A, 232, 1D of the Constitution and for connected purposes.
Okay, honorable senators, I now direct that the doors be unlocked and that the bar be drawn. Next order.
Order number 9, the Disaster Risk Management Bill, Senate Bills number 8 of 2018, second reading division.
Okay, honorable senators, we'll proceed to vote and I direct that the division bell be rung for 1 minute. Okay, honorable senators, I now direct that the door be locked and the bar be drawn. Let me put the question. I now put the question, which is that the Disaster Risk Management Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2018, be read a second time. Please confirm whether you have logged in. Okay, you may start voting. Okay, assisted voters. Alemanyo. Senator Lenturi, come forward. Okay, order members. Okay, honorable senators, the results are as follows. The ayes 28, the nays 0, abstentions 0. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to establish the National Disaster Risk Management Authority and county disaster risk management committees to provide a legal framework for the coordination of disaster risk management activities and for connected purposes.
Honorable senators, I now direct that the doors be unlocked and that the bar be drawn. Next order. Okay. Honorable members, before we proceed to the next order, there's a statement to be made by Senator Sakaja. Okay, what's your point of order, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, as the whip, I'm concerned that in the vote, the first vote at 29, the second one at 28, and yet nobody left. Something, sorry? Somebody left in the middle. Sorry? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Senator Golich was in the...
Where was he? He was here.
He was somewhere within, but he didn't vote. Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask Senator Mutula to be gracious.
Okay, order, member. I'm told it may be necessary for the senator to explain where he was.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I was just around, but I didn't vote.
Okay, Senator, proceed, come forward. Yes, come. Okay, go back. Okay, order members. I'm giving an opportunity to the senator to tell us this house exactly where he was.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. When I say I was around, I mean I was in the washroom. So I didn't vote.
Okay. Noted, Senator. Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I give this statement, I just want to thank colleagues on behalf of Senator Mutula and myself, the co-sponsors of this bill, for voting and supporting it to pass this stage. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 46-2A, I rise to make a statement as the chairperson of the Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the welfare of staff of the Standard Gauge Railway. Mr. Speaker, my committee has received reports on claims of mistreatment and racism on Kenyan citizens working at the Standard Gauge Railway. And Mr. Speaker, such reports are being taken very seriously, and I'd like to report to the House and to the country. Mr. Speaker, there are claims of discrimination in the use of facilities at the restaurant, in the transportation, where if there are claims that one cannot even board the vans when a Chinese is on board. Mr. Speaker, there are issues of unequal pay for similar work, and that foreigners working on the Standard Gauge Railway are being paid more than Kenyans who are doing the same kind of work. The issues of skills transfer, and Mr. Speaker, the principle, a cardinal principle that we have, and I think in foreign relations.
Order, Senator Sakaja, for a moment. Honorable Senators, we have an order that requires us to go into committee and division shortly. So you are requested not to go too far. The whips take notes accordingly, and the leaders of parties, so that senators don't go too far. After this statement, I am not going to allow any other comment on it. We will go to order, senators, order, senators. You know what to do if you want to register any sentiments. Senator Sakaja, proceed. You have your balance of time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I hope they held your time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's an issue of skills transfer, a cardinal rule, Mr. Speaker, that work that can be done by Kenyans should not be done by foreign nationals in this country. And Mr. Speaker, there are certain departments, has been claimed, where not a single Kenyan is staffed. There are claims that once the SGR was launched, Kenyans have never driven it again, despite having Kenyans of such qualifications. Mr. Speaker, there are claims that we're investigating that Kenyans with qualifications, such as engineering, with diplomas in engineering and degrees in engineering, are being bypassed by Chinese nationals who come in, trained in 2 weeks and taking those jobs. And because of that, we have qualified Kenyans who are doing menial jobs like collecting garbage and cleaning the SGR. Mr. Speaker, even such levels of employment and such work, the claims are that Chinese employees are continually being absorbed to do this work that Kenyans can do. Mr. Speaker, we're also looking at areas of personal protective equipment that is lacking for the labor force at the SGR, underpayment and pay slips. And also the fact that the claims that Chinese staff are being allowed to undertake activities that ordinarily would cause immediate sacking if done by Kenyan staff. Signage in the machinery is in Chinese, hence Kenyan engineers and labor force are not even able to participate in troubleshoot. Mr. Speaker, because of this, the Senate Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare is in the process of investigating the above matter, and we will address the following concerns. Number one, we'll address racism and mistreatment claims. We will look into the alleged violation of the rights and freedoms of Kenyans working at the SGR, B, the terms and conditions of service for the Chinese working at the SGR, and C, the terms and conditions of service for Kenyans working on the Standard Gauge Railway. Number two, the role of Kenya Railways in the management of the Standard Gauge Railway. In this, we will look into the contractual arrangement between the China Road and Bridge Corporation and Kenya Railways on the management of staff of the Standard Gauge Railway. B, the status of the transfer of skills of the Kenyans working on at the Standard Gauge Railway, and the status of the Kenya job skills gap in the management of the SGR. Number three, the role of China Road and Bridge Corporation, CRBC, in the management of SGR staff, and for the law governing the human resource management of the standard gauge railway by the China Road and Bridge Corporation. Mr. Speaker, the committee has issued invites to various interested parties that include the Cabinet Secretary of Labor, the Cabinet Secretary of Infrastructure, the Kenya Railways leadership, the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, and Mr. Speaker, we have also invited workers at the SGR directly or through their representatives to give us information. Just as these reports have come to us, they shall be treated without any prejudice to them, and all information shall be treated confidentially at this stage. And we want to assure them of protection of this House and that they will not be victimized once they bring those issues. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans cannot be treated as second-class citizens in their country, a country that gained independence and self-determination more than 50 years ago. The SGR is not a favor to Kenyans to warrant any mistreatment to them. And Mr. Speaker, we will go hard on this issue. Thank you.
What is it, Senator Junior?
Speaker, we thought you'd slightly vary your ruling so that you allow us some comments on this, because there are some certain serious issues that have arisen in the public domain, Mr. Speaker, and with your kindness and usual magnanimity, I'm sure you will accede to the said request. May I proceed?
Order, Senator. So, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., what is out of order?
We were seeking your directions, and I'm not holding brief for anybody, but I thought I would be the advocate for all who want to raise some comments, because it's a matter of critical concern. Concerns, in fact, the standard gauge railway along my county in Makueni. So, Mr. Speaker, it was just too much to ask for you to waive your ruling to allow us, even if it's a minute. But I have something that I want to bring to the attention of the chair that I received from a journalist concerning this particular aspect.
The senators, I have a communication to make on visiting students and teachers from Kirgoya Good Shepherd Academy, Kirinyaga County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting students and teachers from Kirgoya Good Shepherd Academy, Kirinyaga County. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Notwithstanding my direction on this issue, I will allow only 2 comments of 3 minutes each from either side. Senator Mwaura from the majority side and Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. from the minority side. What is it, Senator? Order, Senator Kamar. What other gender do we have? Is there a third gender? Because I said Senator Mwaura and, oh, sorry. I hear you. Yes, what is it, Senator Moses Wetangula?
Mr. Speaker, I want to beg you that this matter being as serious as you know it is, and being a patriotic Kenyan that I know you are, I want to beg you that you allow us to ventilate a bit. The issues of standard gauge railway, Mr. Speaker, are not limited to what the distinguished senator for Nairobi has raised. In fact, as a great lawyer yourself, you know that the ministers is summoning exclude the Attorney General who advises on the contractual obligations of government. And we are going to tell him as such. So I want to encourage you, sir, that you allow more of us to ventilate on this than the distinguished nominated senator and Senator Mutula Kilonzo.
So that I am not swayed only by the kind remarks of Senator Wetangula, I would like to confirm whether the sentiments of Senator Wetangula represent the mood of the House. Is that the position? As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of a contrary opinion say nay. Well, okay, the ayes have it, okay. Very well, so nevertheless, I will limit the comments to a maximum of 3 minutes per senator. Senator Maura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your magnanimity and wise wisdom. Because honestly, this is a very important matter, and from the outset, I also want to recognize the Good Shepherd Academy, because this is a school that also produced my future wife. So I am very happy to see you here.
Order, Senator.
Yes, then, Mr. Speaker.
Order,
then,
Senator.
Because, I mean, she's not a student there.
Order, Senator, can you be clear?
Mr. Speaker, I mean produced my future wife. That my wife went through that school. That's what I want to mean. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I only have one wife, and he's the current and also the future. Mr. Speaker, this whole issue about the standard gauge railway is really quite telling. We have seen comments in the media, and also articles have been written. And I remember using the SGR recently, and I could tell that even for me as a senator to get into the VIP section, the person who was giving me leeway or who had to give permission was a Chinese person. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I found it a bit patronizing that in my own country, even such simple services were being manned by foreigners. Mr. Speaker, this country has had bilateral and multilateral partners over the years since we got independence. And for the longest, we looked to the West. And we had, our projects funded by, countries that are of that orientation. During the Kibaki administration, we decided to look east. And looking east was very interesting because I remember the then French ambassador, Etienne de Ponsard, saying it was very difficult for him to access State House, and State House responded by saying, we see each and every person according to the changing times of the world. Mr. Speaker, this is not the changing times of the world, where we are seeing some new form of colonialism, where our own people are being treated as second-class citizens. Mr. Speaker, whatever that has been reported here by my able chair, the Honorable Johnson Sakaja, is a clear manifestation of the effects of the Chinese loans that this country is taking as if they are free on the market. And there is no free lunch, Mr. Speaker. It appears one of the things that we have to contend with is that now these Chinese people also want to start defecating on us. Mr. Speaker, why am I saying so? Part of the report that we have is that one of the coaches of the SGR actually, at some point, it's alleged that they relieved themselves because there were no toilets in the cabin of the drivers. I mean, really, how can that be? That our own people cannot even share transport to and from work if only one Chinese person is sitting in a van? And this is money this is a loan that is going to be financed by taxpayers' money? When you look at Sino-Kenyan relations, one of the things that we must confess is that there is an even relation in that regard. Because the loans themselves We have a portfolio with the World Bank, Mr. Speaker. They are giving us concession loans at 3%. The Chinese short-term loans are at even 35% short-term payable within 5 years. I mean, is this the way to go?
Organize your time. You have 3 minutes only. Senator Mutula, Jr.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I've just shared a document which was sent to me by journalists from the Standard newspapers on what is a secret agreement that every employee of Standard Gauge Railway has been forced to sign. And one of the paragraphs...
Order, Senator, you have shared the document with who?
Senator Sakaja, the chairperson. That's the reason I just wanted to make a comment.
All right, okay, proceed.
One of the paragraphs reads, one should not, it's a secret agreement, secret. One should not post negative articles or writings or videos, photos on social media or Facebook or YouTube, etc., that involve SGR operation. The only reason this secret agreement is being done is because photographs have appeared in the newspaper, Mr. Speaker, showing workers lying down. Mr. Speaker, the SGR, this matter is not even a scandal. This matter is a matter of national concern. The question of the animals that are wildlife that is dying along the railway line, I'm aware that one of the coaches travels with these Chinese. But more importantly, Senator Sakaja and your team, work permits for foreigners are supposed to be given for work which no Kenyan can do. When a fellow Chinese who cannot speak English is manning a gate and Kenyans are looking for jobs, what are you talking about, you fellows? Let's get to the bottom of this matter quickly. Lastly, can we afford 1 million shillings a day? What are you saying? These people are like, this thing is going to become like the port of Sierra Leone and Sri Lanka. We are going to sell our national treasure to these people. 66% of our debt, and is growing, is to the Chinese. If you don't wake up and smell coffee, senators, and Kasakaja, I thank you for bringing this up. This is going to be something. They have given me problems. Senator was telling me about Imali Primary School. They split a school into two. The railway line is in the middle. The school is destroyed. They've refused to repair it. When they go to Makueni, when we complain, they go and bribe the teachers, give them 200,000, 300,000. We have a crisis. Sultan Ahmud had a flood recently. Why? Because of the standard gauge railway. That's the first time we had a flood there. They've blocked all culverts because of raising the railway. Let's get to the bottom of this matter, or history is going to judge us so harshly when we begin paying and selling our country to the Chinese, when we gave them the port of Mombasa, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and part of Kenya, which we will give to the Chinese. I call it the road to Shanghai. Thank you.
Very well. Senator Professor Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing us to ventilate on this issue. I want to join my colleagues, and in particular Senator Sagaja, in relooking at our relationship with the Chinese. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy and I congratulate the Senator for coming up with this question so that the committee can really look critically on how these people are behaving. Because the behavior of this group is completely different from any other group that has entered this continent or this country in particular. They have said that they are going to relook at the rights and freedoms of Kenyans. And I want to give a very simple example in Uasin Gishu County. In Uasin Gishu, we have Chinese constructing roads. And in particular, we have a road that crosses the county from Naiberi all the way to Jebororwa. Mr. Speaker, you will be surprised that these people will dig roads and give no diversion. In fact, as you cross where they're walking, you will have to maneuver between graders and bulldozers, and the workers are not allowed to stop for you. I myself went through this. The workers are terrified, so they will not stop for you. So they expect you, as they're scooping their soil, to sneak through in between the machines. You tell them to stop, And they're telling you, waving at you, that these Chinese will not allow me, and they don't want to lose their jobs. So they are really terrified. This is the level which we have reached as Kenyans. We also have roads where there are no, apart from diversions, they just open water to any direction without digging the trenches, even where the farmers have accepted that you can actually direct water, you create waterways. There are no waterways. So you find that sometimes you're going through a pool of water, sometimes you're going to a drift. We have seen vehicles get stuck because nobody knew the depth of the pool, and vehicles have just sunk into roads. So really, there is a carelessness that is unmatched when it comes to these Chinese consultants. But finally, I personally saw Chinese driving graders. And I told myself, the young boys are sitting there asking for the same jobs, and yet Chinese are grading the roads. Surely, how far can we go? If you are inviting people to come and work for us, how can we give them everything that exists? And yet we have diverted water for them in their stations, we have given them electricity, and they're just overdoing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good time management. Thank you, Professor Kamar. Senator Wetangula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the information in public now about the Chinese and the SGR is a matter that would warrant a public inquiry. Mr. Speaker, I want to salute the Senator for Nairobi for acting as committees should, that they don't have to wait for this House or the chair to motion the committees to act. They must act when matters that affect Kenyans appear. Mr. Speaker, among the people that he should summon must include the Attorney General, who sanctions and approves all contracts signed between the government and foreign governments and foreign entities. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the amount of money being paid to the Chinese for managing the railways begs several questions, and the Sakaja Committee must find out. Is this contract between China Road and Bridge and the Kenya government a build and transfer, build, operate and transfer, build, own, operate and transfer, or what kind of contract it is? Standard gauge railway, Mr. Speaker, is the property of Kenya Railways. And Kenya Railways is a public corporation. So if they have assigned a management contract to the Chinese, who sanctioned it? Mr. Speaker, managing a railway is not rocket science. And a standard gauge railway is just a railway line that is a little broader than the old railway system that we had. So why would we, Mr. Speaker, hand over an asset of this nature to the Chinese to man? Number two, Mr. Speaker, all contracts and borrowings on long-term, on such projects are long-term. How come the standard gauge railway is commissioned and the loans are being paid immediately? Are these commercial loans or concessional loans? The committee must find out this. Number three, Mr. Speaker, we must find out under what circumstances are Chinese employed to work for Kenya Railways. The question is not about the management contract with the Chinese, but the Kenya Railways Corporation. I didn't hear you mention, Senator Sakaja, that you're also summoning the management of Kenya Railways Corporation. You did. If you did, that's excellent. Because, Mr. Speaker, we as a country cannot mortgage ourselves. Our public debt is now standing at 5 trillion. It's unmanageable. The governor of Central Bank, Mr. Njoroge, has already fired 2 warning shots that this country cannot borrow anymore because we have burst the ceiling. And yet, Mr. Speaker, we are told even the little we have is in the hands of foreigners. The Chinese, Mr. Speaker, are doing jobs like my colleagues have said, what our Kenyans can do. I have seen on the highway, Mr. Speaker, just 1 second. I've seen on the highway, Mr. Speaker.
1 minute for Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chinese driving graders, Chinese driving shovels, Chinese stopping people to wave a vehicle to stop so that another one can come from the other side on a construction site. Mr. Speaker, jobs that you don't even need anybody who has gone to school to do. Why are we reducing our country to this, Mr. Speaker? This committee, Mr. Speaker, must make far-reaching recommendations on, one, whether the borrowing on standard gauge was viable. Number two, whether it's a contract in the terms I've said, BT, BOT, BOOT, or BOO, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Senator Nyamunga.
Was it not on? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to make a few comments on this. I know we as a country, we need partners, and we need partners in different areas. But the rate at which the Chinese have treated our people is not acceptable. And it's not only about the standard gauge railway, even on the roads, Mr. Speaker. Taking, for example, Kisumu, where I come from, on Kisumu-Kericho Road, there is a T-junction towards Kisii. There are borrow pits that were used by the SBI. It is not only about the Chinese, even the SBI people. They borrowed maram from the borrow pits and left the dams without any fencing, posing a lot of danger to our people. And secondly, they did a lot of water channels that during the rainy season, people suffered so much because of they never channeled water anywhere. So it was left at the mercy of nobody, just all over the village. So some of the sufferings that we go through in terms of flooding, it is not only about the rains, but it's also the way the Chinese or the people who have been doing our roads, the way they have left the things hanging without conclusion. So I want to believe that most of these things are just allegations, because it is so unfortunate if such things can be true under our watch, seeing what they are doing. Today it is in Nairobi. Next, right now they are going towards Naivasha, and from Naivasha they are going to go to Malava and even up to Kisumu. So some of these things should be sorted out in good time as we move forward, so that it is stamped once and for all, and we must stop the discrimination. We cannot discriminate against our people. Our people need jobs. Our people are very well trained, but at the rate at which we are doing things, it is unfortunate. And the government should come up very, very strongly to support our people and to make sure that what is for Kenyans, they get it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ndwega.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the Nairobi Senator for bringing this matter to this House. Mr. Speaker, I think it is time that we as a nation started to relook at the kind of relationships we have with whoever partners want to partner with us in development. Mr. Speaker, 60 years after independence, it is very sad that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is discussing racism. That so many years, Mr. Speaker, the Kenyans fought to have their own dignity. And today, Mr. Speaker, we have a situation where Kenyans are being treated like lepers in their own country. Mr. Speaker, this is not on. I beg Mr. Speaker to inform the House that if you are Kenyan and you went to China and started a small business, first of all, you will not be allowed to start any business if it is not 55% owned by Chinese. That's where we need to revert. Today, Mr. Speaker, we are seeing Chinese pendering wares in our markets. We are seeing Chinese all over this country, and clearly from the attitude you can see, they have this attitude that we are lesser human beings, that they are of a superior extraction. Mr. Speaker, this is something that, as a country, we cannot accept. So getting back to the SGR, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the chair for summoning the people who are concerned in the management of SGR. It's a project that Kenyans are proud of. But Mr. Speaker, being proud of a project does not mean that our people be treated in an inhumane manner. Mr. Speaker, most of these truck drivers that you see, Chinese truck drivers you see, are actually prisoners. If we all must know that China has a policy of exporting its excess labor, of exporting labor from China to the developing world. Mr. Speaker, if they want to do that, this country must stand and say this is not where you are going to export those kind of fellows. This, Mr. Speaker, must be made very clearly that we do not want prisoners and misfits.
1 minute for Senator Ndwiga.
Mr. Speaker, it's not the first time that we are seeing this kind of behavior from Chinese in this country. During the construction of Kasarani, it was the same thing. Mr. Speaker, those of us who know China well and their policies, we know their policy is to get all those fellows. While we are trying to create employment for our young people in this country, they are exporting their excess, the misfits from that place who are not useful in their country to this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chergai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank the great senator, the super senator of Nairobi County, for this timely.
Order, Senator. Order. What did you just say? Which senator are you referring to?
Senator Sakaja.
Who is?
The super senator of...
Order. Order. It's not a political rally.
Okay. I withdraw.
Out there, fine. In this chamber, we have senators.
Okay. I stand guided.
We have no super senator anywhere in this chamber.
Mr. Speaker,
or junior senator. We only have Mutula Kilonzo Jr., senator for Makueni County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that indulgence.
Add Senator Chergai 1 more minute.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and for this opportunity. And then thank you for the Senator of Nairobi, Senator Sakaja, who is also my chairperson in the Labor and Social Welfare Committee. I think as a committee, we'll treat this matter with seriousness it deserves. One, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is very sad that most opportunities that should have been done, Mr. Speaker, by our people nowadays are being done by Chinese, Mr. Speaker. I think we need to relook on the issue of work permits, and I challenge my chairperson, the Senator of Sakaja, that we must relook and agree on the work permit. It is the only place, Mr. Speaker, sir, in this world where you walk in like a toilet and do what you want is in Kenya. That's why you find Chinese selling even maize cobs, even in Narok. That's why you see people who are fighting even in Narok County over CSR. These are people that they think they are more important than Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, sir, we must review the work permit regulations and how we handle in this country so that we avoid this issue of giving Tom and anybody to walk into this country and do as they wish, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, secondly, is on the issue of corporate social responsibility. I have seen many Kenyans are up in arms when Chinese are given projects to work. They don't care about how people are using their roads, as my Senate colleague from Uasin County has said, even in preparing diversions when they are constructing roads. Mr. Speaker, it is very important. Corporate social responsibility is practiced by even the best renowned corporate organizations in this world, Mr. Speaker, sir. Why is it so special that you have to do a demonstration for a Chinese company or to hold some leaves, or to even intimidate, or to coerce them to give CSR, Mr. Speaker. I think it has reached a time that I hope even in our legal committee, we must look on our engagement with foreigners in this country, Mr. Speaker, sir. We will not sit back and auction our country. It is the high time as the Senate, we must stand up in the gap that has been left and bring radical changes that will ensure the dignity of Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. It's not even about economy. It's about the dignity of Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, sir. We appreciate that they are also assisting us in procreation, but that one does not give them the license. That one does not give us the license, Mr. Speaker, sir, that one does not give them a license to treat us as lesser human beings, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I support and I hope we'll come up with necessary and radical recommendations in terms, finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of human rights. You know, China, and I don't fear to say this, ranks the lowest in terms of human rights in this world, Mr. Speaker. We must relook. It could be their problem. It could be where they come from. That is why they can abuse our labor rights, Mr. Speaker. That's why they see Kenyans as lesser, because they rank lowest in the human rights index in this world, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I call upon my chair of the Labor Committee and all of us who is a member that we will come with earth-shaking radical reforms that will change the engagement that we have in this country with foreigners. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, sorry.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Senator Imana.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the chance also to chime in, say some things about the Chinese issue. The senator for Nairobi, we are not allowed to call him super, but he's a great senator. Thank you for bringing this topic up, because this is not only at SGR. This is all over this country, and this is a matter, as Honorable Shergai says, this is a matter of Kenyan dignity. The Chinese have been in China, are not really as civilized as we thought they are, because we think that they have been civilized for 5,000 years. But when we were in China, we really got a very lousy treatment from the Chinese. So having Chinese all over this country is questionable. Why do we have them doing all the little things that our children should be doing when they don't have jobs? I know there are Chinese working in Turkana, constructing roads, but the treatment of Turkana people by these Chinese is wanting. I've had several complaints from young people that the Chinese discriminate against them, and in the process, give the jobs to younger Chinese that some people now call criminals that have been brought from China. There was a time when I interacted with a Chinese engineer. There was a market that had this rainwater, and the market was stinking, and the residents wanted it drained and some marram put there. Do you know, these Chinese engineers actually cheated me. I went to one of them, he told me, you want to call my boss in Nairobi so we can do that job. But when I came to Nairobi, I called the boss, and nothing has been done since. So the question becomes, if these people do not respect senators of a county like Turkana, or a senator of Nairobi, or a senator of any other county, what do they respect? So they think, as honorable members have said, that we are lesser beings, and no matter who you are not really what you say you are, because you're a lesser being, even if you're a senator. So we need to look into, why do Chinese come to this Kenya? Is this the only country in the world where we can get technical help? Or is it the only place where we can borrow people who can construct our roads? There are people in the US that know how to construct better roads than China, but they're a lot more civilized than the Chinese. So why don't we call them in and leave China out? So if we are not going to be taken over by Chinese, we need to look into why they come in and how they come in, and why they should take the jobs that our youngsters should be taking.
Senator.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me a chance to add my voice on this very important statement. I want to congratulate the chair of Labour Committee for having thought about this issue of SGR. I also want to say that these are agreements that our government should look into in terms of the percentage of the local content in these agreements. We are not against foreign investors, but what we are against is where an investor invests in the country, he gets all the materials, all the raw materials he wants to use from his own country, where the investor exports or even imports from his own country the labor that is required in his investment. It's not all about SGR. Yesterday, the Turkana senator raised an issue where the tallow oils companies are not employing locals. You get a company which is working in an area of such as Turkana, which has already been marginalized for so many years. We have gotten an important resource from them, and yet they don't get any returns in terms of labor, in terms of businesses. They get nothing from that important resource. And therefore, I think it's high time our country get to review these investments. And we get to clarify what are we supposed to get as a country from an investor in case they invest in our counties. Not only the national government, but also the county governments. When we get these investors, because I am very sure many counties are excited in terms of getting investors, we should really look into entering these agreements without us agreeing on what an investor is supposed to give back to the community and what the community is supposed to get from an investor. I think we shall support this when it comes to the committee, and I wish the chairman would get time to invite all of us so that we can contribute and listen from the ministry concerned on what they are supposed to be doing about this.
Senator Olekina Ledama.
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me an opportunity. And I would like to thank the Senator of Nairobi County for bringing up this matter. Madam Speaker, last year, the Maasais did something which I would consider fighting for their rights when they were discriminated upon by the Chinese in Narok. A few of them ended up in hospital. And what Senator Sakaja has done now, I nearly called him Saddam, but what he has done now, he's actually warning us that if we don't take action, Kenyans out there will take actions. Kenyans will fight for their rights. It is very unfortunate that in Narok County, one Maasai young man was killed. And as a result of that, it took the intervention of both myself and the governor so that the work of the SGR can continue in Narok. This, Madam Speaker, is something which we must be very careful and deal with it with the speed and urgency that it requires. Because we know that recently, when the foreign minister for China was in this country, he talked about their policy of foreign industrialization. So there are more Chinese who are coming here. And they will come here and they will take over all our industries. Madam Speaker, this is not new. When the Kenya-Uganda railway was being constructed, a lot of Asians came here. And you know what happened? If you go to Westlands now, it is all owned by one particular community. If we cannot stop this, if we cannot even ensure that our own Kenyans have jobs as attendants, if they can be trusted worldwide to become flight attendants, do you honestly want to tell me that they cannot be able to man a railway? I mean, this is ridiculous. Madam Speaker, this issue proves what the Western nations say, that China policy, they mostly work as a predator. You know, they come in here, they suck all our resources, and then they bring them back here. Madam Speaker, we know that they have a population of 1.4 billion. And yesterday, I spoke about, if we are not careful, one day, if 1 million Chinese girls are brought here, or 1 million Chinese men, the entire population of Kenya will change to becoming China. So this is a matter that we must take seriously. Because what China is doing now, it is cementing its foothold in this country. And we are so gullible and quick to accept all their money, yet we don't know that we are digging our own graves. Madam Speaker, this is something that, unless we deal with it, Madam Speaker, I beg for. Thank you, Madam Speaker. In Narok County, I can tell you this, and this is something that, Madam Speaker, you spoke about earlier on. When the Chinese are extracting these resources for them to be able to construct the SGR, they do not care about the environment. Right now, in Sia Bay River, there is an orphanage home which is there. And those children who live in that orphanage on a daily basis are taken to the hospital because of respiratory diseases. So seriously, we have to be careful. When the floods are washing the river, it was Sonyero recently, I mean, it washed away all the equipment because it was upset. So this is a matter that must be dealt with the agencies that it deserves. This is a matter, Madam Speaker, that we have to deal with it in terms of ensuring that our Kenyans have jobs. Earlier on, the statement brought by the Turkana senator talked about cattle rustling. Even me, I'll go and take a gun and go fight if I cannot be given a job in this country. So, Madam Speaker, I support this statement, and I want to urge the sponsor, or the Senator Sakaja, to call upon us. And I'm telling you, this is a warning, that if this matter is not resolved, this SGR which is going to Narok, if the Maasais will not be considered to work there, it will not work. We don't need it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kibiru Charles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also start to express my concerns about what is happening and support Senator Sakanja on the issues of how the Chinese are treating our fellow Kenyans. Madam Speaker, for those who have read history, there was a gentleman called Mugo Kibiro, and I come from that lineage. And we once talked of a snake that will pass across our country, and he warned people that it may not come with all good things. Madam Speaker, if we are not careful, we are saying neocolonialism. Madam Speaker, what is happening is that these people are asking us, like the whites did, to close our eyes. We play and they took over our land and they took out of our resources. The Chinese are telling us, here is the money, here is the so-called development, and by the time we wake up, they may have taken us or they may have colonized us. The traits or the issues and the signs are there, Madam Speaker, of how this happens. When you see people who have been persuading us to come to this country, coming to the lengths of telling us that we cannot do some jobs, we cannot pass through some areas, I wonder what this is, if it is not neocolonialism that is coming to our case. Madam Speaker, we don't want another Mau Mau uprising, so we ask Sakanja and committee to really address these issues. If all doesn't work, Madam Speaker, probably we have the man-eaters of Tisavo that really dealt with those guys who are doing the railway. We will, Madam Speaker, probably use those methods. Madam Speaker, this is because corruption in this country, as we talk, Chinese companies are the perpetrators of this. We have evidence that we know of how they get jobs. They have come up with this issue they call finder's fee. Finder's fee is a fee that is increasing corruption. That is why our contractors cannot be able to compete with the Chinese, because our contractors are unable to get the finder's fee and be able to give. So we need a level playing ground, Madam Speaker, And Senator Sakanja and team, please do us a favor. Tell the country what we need to hear and tell us the truth. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Ali Abdullahi Ibrahim.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support the statement. You know what happened to Zimbabwe? The Chinese were literally doing everything, and it's coming to Kenya, the same thing. If you go to somewhere like Isli, forget about SGR and they're hawking. They're hawkers. If these guys can go to that level, what else do you expect from them? I think it's the right time that we should tell them to go home. They can give us the money if they want. We will pay them. But they cannot give us this blood money, which will kill us. Madam Speaker, when they bring industries here, they bring the industries to the river. They are the wholesalers. They are the agents. They are the hawkers. Next time, I think as Mheshimiwa or Senator from Narok said, they will make sure that they have a lot of their children here. Already I'm told there are Chinese children around the Thika and these areas because of the Thika superhighway. In another 10, 20 years, half of Kenya will be Chinese. And if that's what we want, then we will be in trouble anyway. So my take is this: these people are too much. You can see what the Americans are doing. They are pushing them. I think we need another Trump here. Even if everything now comes from China, we have nothing to give them. The little they take is of no use to this country, totally. So we should make sure that we get our dues properly and take care, make sure that China either invest in this country properly, where Kenyans get what they need. They get the technology, they bring technology transfer. They're stealing from America and the Western countries. I think we cannot steal from them. The only way we can learn from them is for them to change all their machineries and language to either Kiswahili or English. If everything is in Chinese, we will know nothing. So the government of the day should act, and as senators, Mheshimiwa, tuko nyuma yako, amakanda yako. Thank you very much.
Honorable Senators, communication from the chair. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting students and teachers from Logorate Primary School, Samburu County. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. I don't have glasses. We can continue. Senator Sakanya, you have an intervention.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. I thought members had all contributed to this particular issue, but I will speak after they're all done because I just want to acknowledge the comments that I've received as the committee goes into it. I think a few others want to contribute.
Senator Kirinyaga Ephraim.
Maybe I come there.
No, it's on.
Senator, just 1 minute. I would like to give the opportunity to Senator for Samburu to make a few comments of welcome to the pupils from Samburu County. Pole.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity. I take this opportunity on behalf of the Senate, on your behalf, and on behalf of the people of Samburu to welcome the students and teachers of Logorate Primary School to Parliament of Kenya, to the Senate of Kenya. I'm sure that this is the first school in Samburu County that we have received here in the Senate, and I want to welcome them to see how we do business, how we carry business in this chamber. This is where the people of Samburu have sent me to represent them, and I'm here today to welcome you and welcome any other school that is willing to come to this Senate and learn what we do in the Senate. Senate of Kenya and the Senate of this Republic does functions that concern our counties. We have been to your school, I have been to your place, and I want you to take greetings from this Senate and tell the people that we welcome schools, we welcome visitors, and we have a place for them in the Senate. Thank you so much, and welcome students and teachers from Ogorati Primary School. Thank you.
I may allow another one comment. Senator Olekina.
Madam Speaker, pia mimi ningependa kukushukuru kwa kunipa nafasi hii ili niweze kualika wanafunzi wa shule kutoka Samburu County. Ningependa kuwasihi na kuwahimiza ya kwamba viongozi hao wote ambao naona hapa walipitia njia ile ambayo mnapitia. Na seneta wenyu kutoka Samburu ni shujaa na ni kiongozi ambaye anawatetea sana. Na pia nyinyi lazima muweze kumfuatilia na muweze kutazama yale ambaye anayafanya. Katika Samburu kwa sasa najua kuna maneno ambaye wananchi wa Samburu wanazingatia kuhusu kubadilishwa kwa county ama kwa town council kuwa municipality. Na hiyo ni jambo ambaye pia nyinyi mnatakiwa muweze kuhusishwa. Na ningependa kuwakaribisha kabisa muwe hai, you feel at home na muweze Madam Speaker, Kiswahili ni ngumu sana lakini nitajaribu kidogo. Na Enjuro.
Senator, that's very unprocedural. Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to join my colleagues in welcoming the students from Samburu County, Samburu West. That is a constituency, Madam Speaker, I've been to severally. And I'm glad to note that their constituency is the first ever in Samburu to elect a Samburu lady by the name Senator Naisula Lesuda. She's the first Samburu elected woman on earth. And because of that, we want to congratulate them on earth. There's no other Samburu elected single-member constituency. That is a county, single-member constituency. Madam Speaker, I remember the last time I went there because at that time the current MP was a nominated senator who I was proud to have nominated when I was chairman of TNA for Harambee. I got 3 punctures from Rumuruti to Samburu because I went with a vehicle that had low-profile tires. I had to be evacuated from a place called Suguta Marmar. And because of that, I committed to make sure that their road is done from Rumuruti and also from Maralal and for it to meet in the middle. And I'm glad the Senator of Samburu has alerted me that progress has been ongoing. And so that road, remember Sakaja when you remember that road as it goes on. I wish you all the best. I wish them great success. They can be anything they choose to be if they put their hearts and minds in education and the values that they need to stand by as patriotic Kenyans. You're fortunate you have amazing leaders like the senator over here, your MP Naisula, your governor and all the rest. Support them and be diligent in your studies. Ashe Oleng.
Yeah, but we must always remember that we don't address the visitors directly, but you address to the chair. Now we can revert back to our previous debate, and I would like to give the opportunity to Senator Kirinyaga.
Madam Speaker, thank you. And I came here because this matter is weighty. It goes beyond the mere mistreatment to our workers. I want to say the issue of Chinese in this world is not a new one. Malaysia developed when Dr. Mahathir took power and they actually chased them out. That's the time Malaysia took the route of development. Madam Speaker, before I come to the mistreatment of our workers, this country has youth who are looking for employment, which to me is a time bomb. And I want to say, any company, anybody who comes here with prisoners from his country,
so that our own children cannot get employment. No matter the financial benefit, it should be set aside. We want Kenya to have a social benefit. And it's high time we came up with a policy that, and it was there. If people read the session paper number 10, which was authored by the late Tomboya, with Mwai Kibaki as his assistant minister, and they actually signed by Muse Kenyatta in 1965. I was in school. If people read the session paper number 10, they will see the policies that our forefathers set for the development of this country. And one of them was Kenya first. Therefore, I want to say, if Kenya wants to remain Kenya, the issue of Chinese need to be relooked. And to me, anybody giving us money so that he can bring his prisoners here to work, anybody giving us money so that he can bring goods from his country, duty-free, bring cooks here, should not be welcome. We need people who will come, develop Kenya, bring the expertise we don't have, but use the Kenyan expertise that there is. I want to say, Madam Speaker, I'm an engineer. And I want to tell people here today, this country was built by a few European countries. This country was built by a few Indian countries. This country has been built by the Africans who have joined in. For example, in the road sector. Today, you will see Chinese, 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 and we are all clapping. I want to warn Africans, go to Angola, go to Zimbabwe, and see the effect of Chinese. They are not in Angola now, as they were, because people opened their eyes. They go to Zambia. A certain minister went into a mine, and she left there crying, a copper mine, because she made people literally naked, sweating some 3 kilometers down in the hole without any air conditioning. The issue of Chinese do not believe in God. Therefore, for you to tell them that they should not mistreat you so that when you die, they don't get a sin, does not apply.
Please, 1 minute.
Okay. Anyway, Madam Speaker, I think this is a subject we need to address in another forum. Kenya must trace itself. We must remember our forefathers, start actually reclaiming ourselves through papers like session number 10, which were made in this house. This was the old parliament building. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to say the issue of Chinese needs to be relooked. Mistreating our people is a disgrace in this particular century, and it should never happen. And I call upon this committee to feel encouraged and to feel supported, to actually come out without mincing words and tell Kenyans what they have seen. Go beyond mistreatment. See the destruction that is on the way. Thank you.
Senator Haji Faria.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute. Thank you, Senator Sakaja, for bringing this issue up. As I hear other senators discussing, what goes into my mind is we have employment contract in this country. If normal companies breach any contract, employment contract, and harasses their own staff, there are laws that deal with that. So these laws do not apply to the Chinese. What's going on? The other thing is the discussion regarding corruption. Corruption breeds to a lot of poverty in this country. And instead of money going to the pockets of Kenyans, it's going to the Chinese pockets. And therefore, I think that is really unfortunate if they are the ones who are taking all the contracts and everything from what Kenyans are able to do, and also their job. 70% of the population of this country is youth, and all of them are coming into the market to seek employment. If foreigners are taking all our employment, then where does that leave Kenya? The other thing is we should not allow a foreign country to take up our heritage, because if we get so indebted to them in terms of the level of debt that we have with them, then it means very soon we will lose not only our heritage but also our sovereignty. The other issue that I wanted to ask the committee to add is do analysis of the financial costs in terms of the borrowing that we did. Compare that with what the cost of what Chinese are giving us. Then are we getting value for money? Or are we continue being indebted, and then we will sell our ports and everything that we own to the Chinese? Madam Speaker, in terms of even immigration, work permits, even people who are highly skilled, the amount of trouble you get to get a work permit for them is wanting in terms of, because if I have worked for an organization where people who are being denied work permit, people who are very highly skilled that would have even transferred some skills to this country. And it's an uphill task even to get a work permit. Why is it different for the Chinese? I think that is another issue that we need to investigate in terms of our immigration department. I think let us make people to account.
And finally, Senator Wangi Paul Gidiomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I started to support Senator Kaja's statement. Madam Speaker, it is becoming difficult in Kenya to get jobs. We know our youth do not have jobs. Madam Speaker, it is common knowledge that the Chinese companies which are in Kenya are taking the prisoners from China to work for them for free. So these companies cannot be able to compete with the local contractors because they are not paying for their labor. They are using their prisoners. Madam Speaker, it is important that we start creating jobs in Kenya in whichever way we can to ensure that our youth get jobs. We are sitting on a time bomb, Madam Speaker. Our youth coming from universities without jobs. And yet, we are giving the few jobs available to Chinese. We know that their cost for roads is less than those of local contractors, and it is only because they're not paying for labor. Madam Speaker, it is time that we start thinking of our local contractors. We know at some stage in time they did not perform. We know at some time they used to delay construction of roads. But it is time now we start thinking of our local contractors because there is nothing that they do not have. They have the right education, they have the machinery, they have everything that it takes to build roads. And by now they must have known that they can lose their jobs because of not being serious on their jobs. So we should embark on our people. We give them contracts that ensure that our youth are employed by the local contractors. Madam Speaker, in China, if somebody steals either by servant or steals from an individual, he's sentenced to hang. And their law is, you hang until you die. So, Madam Speaker, if they have such strict laws, Why should we allow them to bring prisoners for us here in Kenya to work in the road construction and
You want to respond? Okay, half a minute, then I'll give a direction.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the senators. They have improved even the areas of focus. Our Constitution, Article 10, talks about the national values and principles. 2B is human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized. Article 27 of the Constitution talks about freedom from discrimination. And the principles of public finance in Chapter 12, 201, talks about the fact that the burdens and benefits of use of resources shall be shared equitably between present and future generations. We will look at all those issues the senators have raised. Of course, our bias is towards the labor issues, but on top of that, the local content question that has been raised even by Senator Githiomi is important. We must protect Kenyan industries. We cannot have competition on contracts of even 5 million, 10 million shillings. We'll be proposing legislative interventions over limit, below which no foreign company should be able to compete unless it is proven that that skill does not exist in this country, so that we can protect our local businessmen, we can protect our local contractors. And I'm thinking that that can be any business below 1 billion. Let Kenyan contractors compete. Because if you have more than 6 companies shortlisted from China or Singapore, yet Kenyans can do it, when will we grow our industries? So, Madam Speaker, we will look at all of these issues and we will bring a report at the soonest opportunity, and hopefully before we go on to recess, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, it is very clear that the matter we have been dealing with is a very weighty matter. I would therefore direct that Senator Sakaja and his committee carry out a thorough investigation, a watertight, thorough investigation with all the facts that have been raised here, and please report back on this matter in 2 weeks' time. Next order.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2017.
Honorable Senators, we are deferring order number 10, 11, and 12 to next sitting. Next order.
Order number 13, the Retirement Benefits, Deputy President and Designated State Officers, Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 2 of 2018, second reading.
Yeah, what's the point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Madam Speaker, this is purely procedural. I acknowledge that we have moved on to the use of technology in the House, and the order papers are on our iPads. Madam Speaker, I hope the Secretariat has noted that when they bring a supplementary, it is not updated on the iPads, and so we cannot follow. For instance, the matter being read out as order number 13 is order number 12, and the one on boundaries is not existing in the original order paper. So I'd ask, Madam Speaker, that you direct that the Office of the Clerk makes sure that if it's a supplementary, we all receive it in hard copy, or they update the online or the version that is on our iPads. Otherwise, we are not following the same thing.
Senator Kasakaja, have you looked at your order paper? I don't think there is any change. There is no change. Unfortunately.
Sorry, mine looks different. I'll consult the technology. Okay. It looks different.
13. Senator. Yeah, Senator Meura had a balance of 14 minutes. If you'd want to continue, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is true that this issue of the retirement benefits for senior public officials is really a matter that we need to converse ably in this august House. Madam Speaker, yesterday I was speaking. My main concern was the fact that there are so many commitments that public officials make for the benefit of this country. And that if these benefits are not seen as to ensure that our country is able to run effectively, and that these leaders end up being ridiculed by the kind of lives that they lead after they leave public office, then we are encouraging people to cling on to power. And Madam Speaker, this is the reason why most African governments, you find people not wanting to retire. In fact, Madam Speaker, Mo Ibrahim, the founder of Airtel, has come up with a very innovative award scheme to ensure that those presidents who retire voluntarily, they are able to go home with dignity. And we all just saw what happened in Zimbabwe, where the military had to come in for one Robert Mugabe to retire from public office. Madam Speaker, I do not want to belabor the point that majority of our retiring parliamentarians, they live in abject poverty. These are people who really have no future because they are unemployable. When you have led a very robust public life, and now you are in the process that you cannot go back to be under somebody, you are maybe too big enough for that institution, certainly it means that then you do not benefit from whatever economic activity that others would very willingly achieve. Why? Because you run with the baggage of being a mheshimiwa. There is an expected type of lifestyle that you are supposed to live in, Madam Speaker. So I think really this bill is very timely. And I want to say that it is totally unacceptable that if you have presidential ambitions in this country and you have that currently some of the people who have done so are not even able to access their own pension. Suppose you have been here as an MP for 4 terms, and now you are running for presidency. I think it falls. I mean, that is what needs to be done. You are supposed to access your pension as a parliamentarian. You see? So I think this bill by Senator Olekina, honestly, is not, if everything was working well, it should not even have a reason. But as we know very well, this country, we tend to politic a lot. We tend to take advantage of situations. And that is exactly what has happened in this case. That we have a situation where people who have served this country in various capacities now are seen not eligible for what is rightfully theirs. And Madam Speaker, this issue, we may think that today it is affecting whomever would be our political nemesis. But the truth of the matter, as it has been said by Masinde Muriro and others, if you have no ambition, you have no business being in politics. So I don't know where we are going to find ourselves in some few years to come, but we may find ourselves in the same predicament. Yet, you find in terms of the law of contracts, and in terms of labor union, labor laws and all of that, there is a procedure, there is a precedence. But because we have politicized public positions in this country so much, it appears that then when you become a politician, it's like you forfeit some of your rights. Yet, I think, and I would want to say without fear of a doubt, while it is true that there are people who live off politics and others who live for politics, a good number of people who find themselves in the public service actually volunteer themselves to ensure that there is a change in the society. So we really need to do so. I think for me it is very important that we establish a precedence so that it is not for conjecture. It is not for somebody to decide, and for the avoidance of doubt, that when you have served as a deputy president, when you have served as a prime minister, maybe we may change the constitution to bring back the position in future, who knows, deputy prime minister, and other similar positions, really that you should be given your dues as and when you have served. Because, you know, retirement benefits are not a salary, really. That there is a misconception that retirement benefits amount to being maintained by the state. No, not at all. I mean, we have defined, you know, contribution and defined benefits. And this is a defined benefit. And this country, Madam Speaker, we are losing a lot of money in corruption. We've just come from debating the Chinese contracts that are ending up with the behavior that we are seeing with the management of the Madaraka Express and the SGR. And it is because, I mean, let's face it, it is because it is easy to access loans from the Chinese Export-Import Bank, right, at a higher rate of 35%, loans that are due, you know, less than those ones of the Bal Bank, which are coming at 3%, because Chinese loans have kickbacks. Chinese loans have kickbacks. So people know that if you go and get a Chinese company, you are sorted. And this is widening the gap between the have and the have-nots, the poor and the rich in this country. So really, as Winston Churchill said, that expecting yourself to tax yourself into prosperity is like a man in a bucket waiting to lift the bucket using the handle. That is a challenge we are having. Look at our analysis of the budget. The consolidated financial services, a good chunk of that money is really going to pay the wages of those people who have retired. So really, and yet also at the same time, we have a huge reservoir of retirement money. I think our pension fund in the whole country is now about 1 trillion shillings. These are monies that are laying idle. And I think, Madam Speaker, they can be put into better use. So really, it is not for lack of what we can do. We must not be seen to be depriving people who have put their lives to the floor, people who have actually committed to the development of a better Kenya just because of the prevailing political circumstances. I don't know whether, Senator Olekinda, you would still bring the bill now that in the spirit of the handshake, both sides have closed the gap. And you can see, even from that, now people are arguing in a more sober, more gentle debate. And that is a contribution. I mean, let's just say the truth. That is a contribution, that you are able to forfeit your political ambitions and demands for the sake of this country. I mean, how better can we serve this country if then we cannot reward, if we cannot take care of those who fight for us? Kenya is very well known of forgetting the heroes and heroines of this country. People who went to fight for the liberation of this country, have lived in abject poverty. I think those who get into power would want to laugh and to feel more powerful when they see their nemesis or competitors suffering in the streets. So when you are put between the raw power, of fast the post, the rule of the jungle, and the marauding masses in the village who come to you every morning because you have something to give them, and all of a sudden you don't have, how do you survive? How do you survive as a retiring politician? When you have given all your life to public good, yet you have no investments, Madam Speaker. You totally don't have investments because you even forfeited your own monies to ensure that the Kenyan people benefit. Where does that leave you? No wonder, I think when we are competing for political positions, it looks like a matter of life and death. Because you get it, you survive. In fact, I remember one of the former parliamentarians told me there are only 3 things that happen when you are running for public office. You either win, fair enough, you either die, or you become poor. That is the fate of individuals who commit themselves to public service. Madam Speaker, this bill does not call for the extravagant life after retirement, where you live in opulence. That is not the case. And that should not be the case. It is just a way of ensuring that you facilitate the life of individuals who have committed to the public good. So basically having a house, allowance, a salary, a small stipend there, having 1 or 2, drivers and cooks and whatever. I think it is easy. Because you can imagine, unfortunately, that's how we have created our society. When you have, you are used to doing, to other people doing everything for you, including opening the door for you, Madam Speaker, then all of a sudden you are alone there. And let me tell you, when people lose power, as I was saying yesterday, phone calls don't come back, and even those who are supposed to work around you, they have no time for you, really. You have lost your value. You have lost your value. You are no longer as worth. So you also need people also to help you, at least to keep you going. That's the point, Madam Speaker. So really, it's not a big cost for this country. I don't believe that we are going to have as many retiring, deputy presidents, prime ministers in future. Obviously, these are people who may occur every 5 to 10 years, unless we change our system. And I would want to say that it's a culture that will also ensure that because your security is guaranteed after you serve the country, then you serve selflessly. But the moment you serve knowing very well that you are going to live in abject poverty, then that is the reason why we are seeing the primitive accumulation of wealth. That is why we are seeing the open theft of our public coffers. And I would want to say without fear of doubt that there is a nexus between lack of these retirement packages and corruption in our country. Because election campaign financing is very tasking, is very involving, and we must not encourage this idea of where politics do not empower the people, what I call poverty-producing politics. We must move and have a paradigm shift where we have prosperity-propelling politics, where when you serve the people, you don't look at the individual gain. You look at what would accrue just for the present and for the future. Madam Speaker, we all know very well that we have twinned two things, ethnicity and our politics. In fact, that then also connects with our economy. If you look at the cost of our electioneering period and whatever grievances that arise thereof, and the cost to the economy, it cannot therefore be equated to the retirement benefits. And some of this agitation primarily emanate from lack of these very provisions. Because if you have already served this country and then you are thrown into the wilderness, will you not have grievances? And you have people who are following you, you will mobilize them so that they can actually ask for your right. And that does not augur well for business. It does not augur well for the progress of this country. So I think, Madam Speaker, this is a very important moment of reckoning. And we, as legislators, certainly we cannot legislate character. But in the spirit of objectivity, in the spirit of nationhood, we must not also be blinded by personality politics. We must not say that because this is going to benefit so and so, then I am going to oppose it. We as leaders, we owe it to this country to rise above our own personal proclivities and become the statesmen that we are, so that we can speak not only to the present but to the future of this country. I am persuaded that we are going to pass this bill, and that this bill, if it has any contestations whatsoever, that we shall use the positive aspects of bicameralism to resolve whatever that would arise, rather than just saying, oh, it is a money bill that has emanated from the Senate, and so therefore it's not the purview of the Senate. Madam Speaker, the Senate has got the responsibility of impeaching the president, if that were to happen. The Senate, therefore, cannot be said not to be having the mandate to also speak to the welfare of retiring deputy presidents, prime ministers, or whichever other constitutional office because all of this have to come through this House, even if that impeachment motion mandates from the National Assembly. So we have a duty because we are leaders. We represent counties, we represent people, we represent interests. And the best interest of the country can only be if we are able to secure the future of our leaders, not as an end in itself, but to mitigate the risk of our political processes, to mitigate the clinging on to power, to mitigate the corruption that is really prevalent in our ministries, departments, and agencies, and to ensure that we untie the aspect of making political judgments based on ethnicity and outcomes of political processes that would change as time goes by. Madam Speaker, I think I want to conclude by saying this, that Kenya is still a very young country, and we have so many responsibilities ahead of us. We are still crafting and trying to catch up with the world. When we sit in this august house, we must constantly reflect, what is there that we can do to move this country forward? Because there is so much negativity, there is so much evil that is happening, everybody is pulling to their direction. Now, as we speak, corruption is very high in this country.
Senator Cherarke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to speak to this bill. I have seen the passion that most of the colleagues have. Just before you gave me opportunity, Senator Maura was on the floor, and I could see that this bill needs seriousness it deserves. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, let me thank the Senator of Narok, my good friend, Senator Ledama Olekina, for well thought out amendments to this bill, number 2 of 2018. Madam Speaker, I agree that leadership is a calling. It involves sacrifice. In fact, when you become a leader, and you have been, I think, for some time than most of us, it is more of a sacrifice. In fact, there is no benefit. You can find that you are doing most of your things 100% to the people. So it's more of a calling, a sacrifice, and Napoleon once says, leaders are dealers of hope. As leaders, we must inspire, we must give hope to the many, many people so that we can achieve their dreams as a nation, Madam Speaker. I want to say, Madam Speaker, therefore, when you walk around, there is a high expectations from people when they meet a retired member of parliament, a retired councillor, or anybody else, and they say, what did he do with his life? And that is what Senator Maura said. It calls upon for people when they're in leadership to try and aggrandize, try and steal, try and perpetuate corruption, because they know after you have been not elected again or re-elected, you don't have an opportunity. Even somebody who has been in politics or in leadership, it is hard for them even to earn a living or even to get a job. So they are already biased from even existing in the human resource. And that is why you find most leaders who did not make in the last general election, many leaders who have served this country with distinction, they have used their productive years to change the lives of Kenyans, Madam Speaker. They are now languishing in poverty, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this country has come a long way. And I think, Madam Speaker, in as much as we appreciate that there are, iPads in this chamber. I know Senator Senator Ledama is smiling. I don't know, he's might be tech savvy, like most of us. But, Madam Speaker, these people should update and make sure the internet that is being accessed here is more fast, because some of us rely more on online access. So, Madam Speaker, with your proper authority and guidance, you should instruct these people to ensure the access of internet is supersonic so that we can access reference. Madam Speaker, for example, the issue of former councillors. This is an issue that has been there for the longest time possible. We therefore, when you walk around and you see former councillors, they are struggling. These are the people who now we call them members of county assembly. An example is that when you walk around as a leader, you are told this is a former councillor. And it is paining when you are invited to a fundraiser of a leader who no longer, because he cannot be re-elected, he cannot even support his family, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know there has been conversation when this bill, and we want to thank the handshake, although some of us have been very cautious about the handshake, but the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, said he is going to give us full disclosure of what the handshake was all about, because it was between him and President Uhuru. So we hope, before, if it had come then, there was a lot of speculation. They saying, you know, before the former Prime Minister or the former Vice President, we need them to become politically inactive so that they can be given retirement benefits, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know this bill will generate a lot of interest. We are looking into the future. You never know what the future happens. And I know some of the people were telling me, why don't you support this bill? Because you never know the future. But I'm certain about the future, Madam Speaker, and I know the next 50th president of this republic is William Samoei Ruto. So maybe my friend Ledama was trying to prepare a soft landing. But I want to assure him the future is bright. But maybe in future, and the future is infinite, that some of these will be put into rest. Let us avoid it looting at politically. We want to see their families. These are people who have a particular stature in the society. We need, when the former Prime Minister is invited to go to London to give a lecture, we should be able to facilitate his office as the office of the former Prime Minister. The same to the Vice President, the same to former President Moi, President Kibaki. We need to ensure that they still have that office. And that office involves the cooks. I've seen, at least you have been these are humble, in fact, these are humble staff, because two cooks, maybe a gardener and a few. So the staff is quite lean as provided, which is very important. Of course, we are aware that there is a lot of challenges in wage bill and many other issues that we have in this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, they are very important. These are the people we look upon. These are the people and I can tell you, Madam Speaker, the fight against corruption, the issues of lifestyle audit, and many other will come to a conclusive end when somebody knows, after I've served for so many years as a leader in this country, the send-off package home will make you comfortable and family. So any person who will be in leadership position, they will not be wasting time, Madam Speaker, to aggrandize or ensure that
Excuse me, Senator. I really need some clearance between the whoever speaking and my chair so that I concentrate. You can continue, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So that you have a clear view. So, thank you, Madam Speaker, for that. Madam Speaker, I want to say, what I wanted to say is on the issue of corruption and everything. If all of us, one way or another, I know some of us will be running for governors, like my good friend from Narok, and many others, Sakaja here, Senator Sakaja is smiling. He might not be running, but he might run for president in future. So what I'm saying is that if we know that you are a leader, but after even unfortunate or unfortunately you don't get re-elected, you are still comfortable with your family. You can still have an office where if there is any engagement, and you know in some countries, Madam Speaker, I have seen, and in fact the former Prime Minister was in India the other day to take a message of goodwill from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Even if we facilitate such people, it will be even easier, even in our county governments, to find even former leaders where governors can even assign former senators, former governors to represent the interests of counties at that level, Madam Speaker. But we need to facilitate and ensure that the human resource that we give them are people who can assist in management and execution of many other aspects, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in as much as I want to congratulate my brother, let us also include the former councillors so that, and any leader, the former leaders who have been elected, even medical cover, Madam Speaker. The other day, I was invited to do a fundraiser for a former member of parliament. I don't want to say where. And you could see they could not even raise even 500,000 to go to hospital, Madam Speaker. Because they can't afford. After they lost the seat, there is no medical cover. There is no way they can be assisted. So if we should, in fact, we should include medical insurance for the former leaders because they are still leaders and therefore they needed to be treated with dignity. And then we don't want to create leadership to be hopeless. Say that when somebody is elected, they know after, even if they lose the seat, they will be, they cannot have hope. They cannot be hired. I've indicated earlier when I started my opening remarks, Madam Speaker, that they cannot even find a job. They cannot be employed. And the people still hold them in high regard. So we don't want our leadership to be part of ridicule, where people will be saying, do you know this person? He was a former senator. He was a former governor. See, look at him now. He can't even ride a bicycle. So, Madam Speaker, I agree. And even through just a point, their spouses run away because of they no longer provide. And therefore, I know there, of course, there are some people who are elected, Madam Speaker, when they get elected, they increase the number of spouses. But you'll find that the original one remains, the others take off. So we need to protect, also look at the family unit as a country, because society starts from a family unit. So we need to protect them so that Team Fisi will not take advantage of desperation of former leaders. Fourthly, Madam Speaker, apart from medical insurance, the human resource, the other aspect is the dignity, and I've said let us not expose our leadership to Madam Speaker, what I would want to say is that I have an opinion on the issue of whether you should get retirement benefits, either the deputy president, designated state officers. We want to request in future, if you want to benefit from this, you should become politically inactive. I have seen and I've read that unless when you become politically active and you are elected, Madam Speaker, you can now stop. I think that's a better proposal. But I'm happy that the former Prime Minister said any people who had political ambitions for 2022 were locked out of the handshake. So I hope the people who will not be politically active will be locked out of this law, so that you don't have to earn from, my good friend Senator Githiomi, when he was elected as a senator, pension ceased to come. And therefore, it is very important that, we become clear, Madam Speaker, so that you don't enjoy, it is illegal to enjoy from earning from different sources. It is even illegal, it is economically unjustifiable, it is immoral, and therefore we cannot allow that. And I'm happy that the issue and the aspect from a drone yesterday is that we become politically inactive, and then you can benefit from this. So so that, Madam Speaker, we avoid what you can use the public resource to undercut or sabotage an already elected leader. So if, for example, I'm a former governor and I've been given resources as from pension, Madam Speaker, it is very hard. And you know, Madam Speaker, also, I want to call upon my brother to look also lowering. Because even if some of us even serve 3 terms, we might not be entitled to pension. So we should look at because many young people are coming now to leadership. Many young people are now in leadership, and therefore, Madam Speaker, we should also look so that we should even, in fact, there were proposal to have even pension after 1 term, so that even, and also the age should come slightly lower than 40 years, so that even if you serve even for 2 terms and you cannot steal, you can still have an opportunity. So, Madam Speaker, I think the issue of ensuring that we factor in, and I think former councillors at least request, but now that we have former MCS also, you should also factor in, we have former governors, we have former senators, and many other state officers, so that they can access, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, even as we look at this, I know I sit in my very able chair is here, the great senator, the senator of Senator Sakaja. We also need to look at improving pension terms, so that even as we talk, I know Kenyans are concerned. They are saying, why are leaders discussing only about their welfare? We should also, as a country, look at the pension that we pay our employees in this country, be it teachers, be it retired teachers. I know there is still a case, Madam Speaker, of retired teachers where they have not been paid their package up to today, be it police officers, be it army officers who have worked tirelessly, to give the best of their years to the service of this country. Madam Speaker, we must also look at and I hope my chair, Senator Sakaja, is taking notes, so that in future, as we discuss even about the pension terms and retirement benefits for the state officers and other designated state officers, we also look at the improvement of the pension of most of our people who are serving public service, be it even retired chiefs and many others, Madam Speaker. But finally, Madam Speaker, I know many people, the Kenyans at large, I don't think it is many people think that this is not economically viable. It is economically sustainable because also, Madam Speaker, you know when you have served for long, you become an institution. So at the end of the day, these people also, in as much as we decide we are assisting them to still give back to the society. I'm looking, and I hope Senator Ledama or Lekina will factor in or will consider this considered opinion. We should also see, Madam Speaker, on how we can get back on this leadership, designated leadership, Madam Speaker, so that even as we allow them, we give them public resources, there is a way we can find out in giving back to the society. And therefore, if they have served, we can start even academic avenues on how they can even come back as honorary lecturers to our universities, our colleges, and be part of an inspiration for the young people and the future of this country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, this bill has come timely, Madam Speaker, and I want to say, even as now President Moi will be factoring in, already factoring in President Kibaki, former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, and the President Uhuru, who our beloved President Easter will come 2022, Moody Awari, Musalia Mudavadi, all those people, and even former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and many others will ensure they are factored in. And I think after 2032, William Samoei Ruto will now earn from this benefit. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and support.
Senator Gertrude Muserube.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to add my voice to this important bill. I really feel humbled. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, that this bill is a bill that is going to be used now and very many other years, even when we are gone out of, active politics. And I want to say that the deliberations that this House wants to make or is making concerning this bill will affect the future leaders of this nation. And even, Madam Speaker, there's the students who have been coming here, and the students who come here many times to listen to our debates. They're the ones who will find themselves here, and this bill is going to actually help them. So it is a bill that we are making for the purpose of helping this nation and for ensuring that we mentor leaders who have the esteem, Madam Speaker. I want to say that once someone is a leader, the person will forever be a leader. When you're in leadership, you'll be proactive to do what you're mandated to do. But once you're not in leadership, you're still a leader, but you will just be passive, but you will continue being a leader, Madam Speaker. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, when we look at the functions of the leaders of this nation do, even constitutionally, Madam Speaker, they use a lot of their energy in terms of time, in terms of mental energy, to ensure that they deliver to the people of the Republic of Kenya, Madam Speaker. When you look at what the Constitution demands of the Vice President, Madam Speaker, he cannot even have time for himself, Madam Speaker. One of the functions, he has to continually act as the President. He assists the President. And apart from assisting the President, he has to be there when the president demands that he's there, Madam Speaker. And even in a situation where the president is incapacitated or is not in a position to execute, Madam Speaker, the deputy president has no otherwise. He has to just perform. Why? Because it is a constitutional mandate, Madam Speaker. And this constitutional mandate has impact. And the impact is diverse. The impact means that he has to give himself selflessly to the Republic of Kenya. And for him to perform, Madam Speaker, he has to give up his everything, Madam Speaker. So what you're saying is that in a situation where a deputy president has performed and has really performed for the purpose of his nation, there is need for him to be remembered at the time when he has retired, Madam Speaker. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, remembering the deputy position means that his family, his people should not suffer because he doesn't have the seat anymore, Madam Speaker, because of the energy he has put in this country. And Madam Speaker, when I'm talking of the deputy president, I'm talking of the deputy president and the other many deputy presidents that are in the making, Madam Speaker. Even the students who come here to listen to our debates, they are also deputy presidents in the making, Madam Speaker. So this is a pronouncement that we want to make that will help the future of this nation, Madam Speaker. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, there are situations when leaders of this country have sacrificed their time, have sacrificed their everything, but eventually their families languish in poverty. I remember at one point there was a story of the widow of Dedan Kimathi. Who in this country does not know what Dedan Kimathi did? But the widow and the children were dying in poverty, Madam Speaker. It is a time we remember people who work for this nation and ensure that we do not embarrass them at the time when they are old, at the time when their hair is white, at the time when they need us to support them and tell them, yes, you stood with this nation and we want to take care of you, Madam Speaker. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, that their health comes first. It should be maintained as it was before. When it comes to performance, they need to have the cooks as they had before. They need to have the drivers as they had before because, Madam Speaker, they gave themselves selflessly to this country, Madam Speaker. And when I'm talking about this, Madam Speaker, I'm looking at all designated officers that have really given a positive contribution to this country. And, Madam Speaker, I'm even talking of the Prime Minister. If we have a prime minister, and we had a prime minister, Madam Speaker. His contribution is very vivid in this country, Madam Speaker. Even the handshake itself tells us how important he is in this country. We cannot possibly ignore him in any way, Madam Speaker. Leaders who have led this country can act as consultants, can act as advisors, because they have a wealth of information concerning this country, and also they have a lot of information concerning also many policies that can be important in this country, Madam Speaker. So we cannot possibly ignore them. And Madam Speaker, I just want to remind this House recently, the former Prime Minister, he was not sent to India, Madam Speaker, because of commitment of the people, and because he has people at heart. He took himself to India, Madam Speaker. He did not go to India because of himself, but he was trying to see how can he sort out the issue of cancer in this country, Madam Speaker. Many people have been dying of cancer. They're still dying of cancer. Our leaders are dying of cancer. I'm also a cancer survivor, and I do not want to die because of cancer, Madam Speaker. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, even when he went to India, he went with a clear purpose because he wants to add a contribution to this country, Madam Speaker. And when he's adding a contribution to this country, Madam Speaker, he's sorting out one of the 4 agendas we have for this nation, Madam Speaker. And one of the 4 big agendas is health, Madam Speaker. So we cannot possibly ignore, possibly assume leaders who have led this country, Madam Speaker. We have to look for a mechanism of ensuring that they continue giving us the noble information they have, the noble ideas they have, because they have the Solomonic wisdom for this country, Madam Speaker. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, even in a situation of crisis management, Madam Speaker. For instance, the Prime Minister comes in at this time as the manager-in-chief at the political arena, Madam Speaker. So I want to say in front of this House that the commitment that leaders have had in this country, we should not eventually abuse them by not taking care of them, Madam Speaker. We will be judged harshly here on earth and even in heaven as leaders if we do not hold our leaders' hands, Madam Speaker, when they are aging. And Madam Speaker, when you're talking of retirement benefits also, we are talking of our leaders, yes, we need to support them. We need to ensure that we are doing something to ensure that they're living their lives normally, that they do not get frustrated because they are no longer leaders. We should make them feel that they are appreciated, and we appreciate the noble advice that they will give us as a nation, Madam Speaker. And to add to the issue of retirement, I want to also mention that, Madam Speaker, we also have people who are working in the government. We have a number of Kenyans working in the government. They're working hard for this nation, Madam Speaker. Upon retirement, Madam Speaker, the people of this country have to be given the benefit that they deserve, Madam Speaker, so that they do not languish or their life does not go to the dogs, Madam Speaker, so that they do not cry, so that they do not feel that the country has not remembered them, Madam Speaker. So there's need, by all means, to ensure that leaders of this nation, workers of this nation, are given retirement benefits that will help them. When they look back, they'll say, I'm happy that I worked in this nation, and I'm happy that I have been remembered by the people of this country, Madam Speaker. Another thing I want to say, Madam Speaker, when it comes to children of leaders of this nation, sometimes when you look at children of leaders, you wonder, was this the daughter or a son of a prime minister or a president or a deputy president and all that? That thing should not be in Kenya, Madam Speaker. What you're saying that upon retirement, their children should also benefit, Madam Speaker. In the event of, God forbid, in the event of one dying, Madam Speaker, their children should be remembered. And the package that is supposed to be given to them should go to them, Madam Speaker, and the package should be meaningful packet that will help them move on with their lives normally, Madam Speaker. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, that I strongly support this bill, and I hope that the bill will see the end of the tunnel, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this great debate.
That's very good. Senator Sakaja Johnson Arthur.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity to contribute to this debate on retirement benefits. Madam Speaker, this is really just an amendment to an already existing law that provides for the retirement benefits of the Deputy President and designated state officers that was passed in the last parliament. And Madam Speaker, if you remember the timing of this bill, and you look at the memorandum, the real motivation was to make sure that arbitrary decisions are not made at the whims of any individual in the executive, in case they are made to somebody who might be of a different political persuasion at that time. I remember this is the time when the former Vice President, Kalonzo Musyoka, former Vice President, Musalia Mudavadi, had their security withdrawn. And, you know, my colleague, Senator Olekina, was not happy, and many Kenyans were not happy at that point. Of course, the security agencies might have had their reasons, but, Madam Speaker, we need to remember that these are people who have reached a certain stature in society. Madam Speaker, for me, at the outset, I must say that I'm always very uncomfortable when we discuss our benefits and benefits of leaders, not necessarily at the expense of, but without really remembering what the ordinary Kenyan is going through. Madam Speaker, we are a country, if you look at, and I've asked senators to pick up the economic survey of 2018, we're a country that is struggling in terms of our economy. Many Kenyans do not even know what we mean when we're talking about retirement benefits. Many of them are not beneficiaries of NSSF. Many of them, even in county governments, are struggling to get their pensions. Many of them in different agencies, which I'm dealing with as Chair of Labour, whether it is Kenya Railways Pension Scheme, and many other agencies, have not been able to access their meager earnings. People have died as they're chasing their pension monies. Madam Speaker, if you look at the county governments, they have not been paying to LAP Fund, to LAP Trust, the contributions for their members. I know my county of Nairobi has been owing close to 20 billion shillings. And I was even suggesting at some point that we might consider amending the county allocation of revenue bill and doing it as a conditional grant to these pension agencies, monies owed to them by counties. We agree that in 5 years, we want to clear those debts. So if Nakuru County owes 5 billion, we will remove 1 billion every year and put it directly to the pension agencies. If it is Nairobi owing 20, we'll remove 2 every year. But because, Madam Speaker, pension is a right of anybody who has offered them their service, whether it is in the private sector or in the public sector. It provides for them some safety net once they are beyond their, what we call, economically active age, which in this country is around, I think, 60, if you're not a judge, or if you're not in any other high office, if you're in the public service. And Madam Speaker, because of that, we need to be able to look at these issues holistically. We need to be able to make sure that every Kenyan is able to access social welfare and is able to access their pensions that they deserve because of the work they've done, not just us as elected leaders and not just the former Deputy President and designated state officers. Madam Speaker, I've had my colleague, Senator Cherargei, who I have tremendous respect for, saying that these retirement benefits, and this is an argument that has been there even before, that they should only be given to somebody once they have retired from political service or from active politics. Madam Speaker, I don't think anything is further from, a solid misinterpretation of the Constitution than that assertion. And I know this has been said previously, targeting the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. I remember in the last Parliament, when his pension had been stopped. Even then, I stood up and I opposed that, clamor. Because even if I don't agree with him politically, and I don't, I'm not in his party, I'm a member of Jubilee family. I believe in the president and his deputy and the agenda in this country. But that does not mean that then I stop looking at issues objectively. Madam Speaker, this Constitution provides in Article 38 what we call political rights. And it says in 38(1) that every citizen is free to make political choices, which include the right to form or participate in forming a political party, be to participate in the activities of or recruit members for a political party, or sit to campaign for a political party or cause. Madam Speaker, there is no subsidiary legislation, there is no act of parliament that can contradict the Constitution. And if any law or any action by Parliament contradicts the Constitution, then it is null and void to the extent of that contradiction. And Madam Speaker, I said, those of us who at that time were opposing his presidential bid, I said that let us deal with him politically, but let us not use the law. Let us not use his retirement funds, which were owed to him because he had been a Prime Minister, he had been a member. Well, we should not use those to try and gain any political mileage. In fact, if anything, it made us look small. I know I got into trouble, but Madam Speaker, I have a knack of getting into trouble, and I am not concerned by that. I stand by what is right and what is true. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to Musalia, give to Raila, give to Kalonzo, give to Ruto, give to Uhuru, give to Kibaki what belongs to them, rightfully. Madam Speaker, I've also had questions about what happens to members once they leave Parliament, living in languish, and because of that, let's get parks that will assist us. Madam Speaker, that is very responsible of us again. Madam Speaker, Kenyans are out there doing their own work. When you get elected, you know you have a 5-year contract, which can be renewable or not. I would like to urge my colleagues. You know, for instance, I got into parliament when I was 28. I am eligible to a pension after this term. But not until I get to the age of 40, 45, which will still be a way out, because in 2022, I'll be 37 years old. So I'll have to wait in case I don't get re-elected. Madam Speaker, the law does not prohibit us from engaging in economic activities, in business, Madam Speaker. So long as it is not gainful employment, that is what we are only prohibited from getting engaged in. People should not see public office as a method of self-enrichment. These are not permanent jobs. These are contracts by the people when they want us to serve them. And when they decide they don't want us to serve them, they send us home. In fact, we were just discussing at the lounge with some of the members, including Senator Ndwiga, who has been in parliament and out and back. And one of the senators gave an analogy that it is like, you know, you are a shop. And sometimes a potential buyer will come, look through your shop, and go to the next shop. And later come back maybe after 2 days and then buy something from you. So at some point, Kenyans will say, no, I'm tired of Senator Sakaja, or I'm tired of Senator Ledama. We will not elect him in 2022. But in 2027, they elect you and even probably give you a higher office. So let us not look at these positions that we hold, whether you're an MCA, an MP, a senator, a governor, as a position of economic empowerment or a position of self-enrichment. These are positions of service to the public. These are positions of service to the nation and being able to leave a legacy behind, being able to leave a trail of things you've done, whether it's legislatively, whether it is changing your community, whether it is, you know, leaving a mark in this country because of what you stand for, not because of what you get in your pocket. There is no great leader in this world, Madam Speaker, who is remembered because of what he earned. Leaders are remembered because of what they did when they were in public office. Madam Speaker, when this bill came before my committee, the Committee of Labor, we expressed certain reservations on a number of the sections, and I'm sure that will be dealt with later. Those are sections 8, which says that section 12 of the Principal Act is amended by dealing with where a person, without prejudice to the generality of subsection 1, when an entitled person is entitled to provision of security, the entitled person shall be accorded the opportunity to select officers to serve them. After that, there's the issue of Inspector General adjusting security arrangements. Then there's the issue of, that there's a committee that is set up to review security arrangements for these public officers, and also limiting, saying that they shall have not less than 6 and not exceeding 10 armed security guards. Madam Speaker, we felt that this was a direct contravention of the Constitution. Article, I think it is 245 of the Constitution, and pardon me if I'm not exactly accurate. Yes, Article 245 of the Constitution is clear that we cannot direct the Inspector General of Police in terms of his operational work, Madam Speaker. It says in direction given to the Inspector General by the CS, or in direction, of course, must be in writing. It talks about the issues of the Cabinet Secretary may lawfully give a direction with respect to any matter of policy, but no person, that is 245(4), no person may give a direction to the Inspector General of Police with respect to investigation of any particular offense or offenses, enforcement of the law against any particular person or persons, or the employment assignment, which is deployment, giving them assignments, promotion, suspension, or dismissal of any member of the National Police Service. And I think because of that provision, then we suggest that during the committee, the good Senator for Narok shall consider either him sponsoring amendments himself as a mover, or allowing somebody else or the committee just to deal with that issue. And I think we can creatively, because we know the mischief you're trying to cure. That mischief still needs to be cured, Madam Speaker. It is the same mischief that got me again in trouble when I went to deal with the situation in a police station, where a member of parliament was unlawfully held for a case that someone can be bailed out. Where those of us who are at a certain point in power feel that we can use the political, the police service to settle scores, That, for instance, yes, a governor is accused of corruption. Instead of he's a governor, instead of taking him to court properly, you want to show him handcuffed and you want him to sleep in a cell, unnecessarily. Yet when Patel, who owns Solaidam that has killed 47 people, is taken to court, he's sauntered in with security and he's walking with his hands in his pocket, Madam Speaker, because you want to humiliate the governor, That if Ledama does wrong and I am here as a police officer, I will not arrest him today because today is Wednesday. I wait for Friday so that I arrest him, so that he sleeps on Friday, Saturday, comes out on Sunday, goes to court and is given bail. Madam Speaker, let us not use, because today you're in power, tomorrow you're not. Somebody like Senator Beth Mugo knows. She has been in government, she has been in the opposition. These things change. We say, window be change anger. So when you make laws assuming that it is your worst enemy who will be implementing those laws. Yeah, because it might be. Don't make laws assuming that it will always be you who is implementing those laws. Because what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. So, Madam Speaker, I support the amendments brought here. I'd wish to ask that we have a slight paradigm shift as leaders when it comes to issues of our own remuneration and when it comes to how we address issues of the common Kenyan. Let us accord leaders respect from whichever political parties they may be from, even if we don't agree with them politically, because you must be led for you to lead. And one day you might be the ones occupying those offices. Tomorrow Senator Ledama might be the deputy president, or I don't know, Senator Mugo, anybody. It could be anyone, it could be me. And let's be able to lead a country of equity, a country where everybody feels that no matter where you're from, no matter what your political position is, no matter what your religion is, that you are a Kenyan, and that the houses of parliament, that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, that the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya is legislating for you first, not for ourselves first. Madam Speaker, with that I beg to support and hope that Senator Olekina will be kind enough to allow us to adjust the offensive clauses in this bill. Thank you.
And now we have Senator Mary, but at the same time we have only 3 minutes left. So you can start and then you'll continue in the next sitting.
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me a chance also to contribute to this very important amendment bill. And from the onset, I want to congratulate Senator Ledama for having thought about those people who have given service to us as a country. When we are doing laws, or when we are talking about people who have served in this country as either a president or a state officer, we should not always think about others, but we should think about one time you might be the one who is going to be talked about. And therefore, when we are talking about these retirement benefits for the president, the vice presidents, the former state officers, we should think about us as the people and us as those people who have served in this country. These are people who have given a lot of their time, a lot of their commitment, a lot of their energy, and a lot of their family resources to serve in this country. When you are a president, or you are a vice president, or you are a state officer, you give all that you can to a country. And therefore, there is need for this House and there is need for the National Assembly to really think about you when you are out of that service. There is need for the country to appreciate you. there is need for policies and laws that will be friendly to you even after you have left. It really saddens me most of the time when I come across people who have served in our own counties, like the former county council councillors, the former mayors, former colleagues who are senators, former MPs. When you come across them in our counties, and some of them are even not in good health, some of them, their children are really struggling, it really saddens me. With the much that you have given to this country, with the much that you have given to the people of this country, and now your children are suffering, it is a very sad situation. And therefore, this bill is promoting or preserving the dignity of these people, people who have given all they can to us as a country. And therefore, I think it's a very good bill, just like we shall talk about the county government retirement.
Senator, sorry to interrupt. You will have a balance of 16 minutes next time the bill is listed for debate. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m. Time to interrupt the business of the Senate. The House therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 12th July 2018 at 2:30 p.m.